Old School Pokemon here, back again with podcast episode number 39, joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. How are we doing today, Dan?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Excited for another episode. Hopefully, you guys in the chat are excited to hear us talk for a couple hours.
Yeah, I think about 3 hours today. We got quitting time. The evening recordings were getting a little bit out of hand. We were going real late, but now we've got that fixed end time, which is kind of nice in a way to keep us from just going on forever. But yeah, couple things to touch on before we get into the questions. We did have 3 questions from the last episode. Next episode, as always, every other episode, we're going to have a special guest. If you want to let everyone know, Nick, who that'll be.
Yeah, so 2 weeks from now, the next podcast episode, we are going to be having the Green Chiz, Josh, as our special guest. So that should be a fun one. Looking forward to having him on as a guest. I got to meet him in person for the first time down in Long Beach at the Collecticon back a month ago now or so.
Didn't you
really
meet
cool
him at
guy.
one of the Collecticons last year?
I did actually, yes. The very first Collecticon I met him for the first time. That was back before he had his YouTube channel though, so he was a nobody to me. So I forgot about him. And then when he finally got a YouTube channel, I officially got to meet him.
I'm excited to have him on. I'm excited to hear just a bit more in depth. Have both you guys on screen when he's talking about the scooter incident and all that. So we won't, for everyone's reference, we won't be doing that one live. Josh is on that corporate 9-to-5 grind. So we're going to be recording that one like 2 weeks from yesterday, posting it 2 weeks from today. So if you have any questions for Josh specifically, leave them in, not the live chat right now, but when this video goes, when this video gets posted, leave them in the comments there, and we'll carry those towards the next episode with Josh. Brett, looks like Brad's on your side. He heard that's the guy that swerved out in front of you and slammed the brakes on a scooter.
Yes, that is exactly what happened, Brad. I was just minding my own business, and he comes, slams on the brakes right in front of me.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, that's gonna be a fun one.
It had nothing to do with the fact that it was late at night after a few beverages.
Yeah. Well, anything else for the intro? Anything else to notify people of at the outset, or are you ready to take the questions from last episode?
No, let's hop right into the questions. And if you guys in the chat have any questions, feel free to comment them, and we'll get to those after we do the pre-recorded questions.
Yep. Yeah, we've only got 3 from last episode, so start throwing your questions in the comments, and we'll try to just hang out today for a few hours. We'll try to stay right live with chat. But the first question from last episode comes from Jay from Pokemart UK. How do you feel the market would react if PSA decided to put a stamp on the case or label of the first 10 graded versions of any card? What do you think that would do to the premium of Slabs/Rush to be the first to grade, and would grading companies do it? I literally clipped these images like 10 minutes before we started. I didn't read any of these at all. That's a really interesting question, because I know in the coin space, they do first day issue, like first day of release. They do early release. They actually do special labels, but it's nowhere near like a 10. It's not like a numbered to 10 thing. My first reaction to this, I feel so many issues. PSA is not first in, first out. So not only is it a matter of luck based on your proximity to PSA, it's based on luck of the draw or your relationship with your distributor. Because like Special Delivery Charizard was a different animal, but let's look at like normal set releases. let's look at the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. Literally, people would be vying for the one of the first 10 labels on the Charizard promos there. PSA would honestly love it because you'd have people sending at $300 a piece, and only 10 would get it, but you'd get like 100 or 200 people to send at 300. So they'd capture a bunch of extra money of people trying to get those. People would be express mailing, overnighting to PSA, and then it would just be, there would literally be like the morning that PSA opened, the day after the first people got their products, there would be 50 express packages, and it would just be luck of the draw on which one was opened first. So there's just way too many issues of that. Maybe instead of the first 10, maybe it would be the first 2 weeks of release. There's a special thing like with coins. I can actually I'll wrap up my answer here, but while Nick's doing his answer, I'll pull up an example of what the coin ones look like. But yeah, maybe it would be the first, if you submit within the first 2 weeks or the first month of release, you get a specialized label. That makes it less exclusive, but it makes it more reasonable, I think, from a logistics perspective. That's all my take. There would be a premium though. If you've got, it would almost be like it would be a serialized it would almost be like a serialized type chase for a non-serialized card. Like it would be weird. But then what happens if it's a PSA 7 or a PSA 8, one of the early ones? Like nobody would care nearly as much. There's a lot of different things that come up, but I really like the question for that reason. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. Like you were saying with the coins are different because they're produced by the U.S. Mint. There's only 3 mints which produce all the coins, and each mint produces a specific coin. So you don't have to worry about inadvertent early releases of coins. Pretty much the first day of mintage, they kind of specify like with Silver Eagles. If you buy a roll of Silver Eagles the first day, they have a different stamp on it than day 2, day 3, day 4, so on and so forth. So it's a lot easier to tell which were mailed out that first day to label it with grading companies and all of that. But with cards, like you were saying, the releases and the way people get product varies so widely. I know personally with just Lost Origins, for example, I work with 2 distributors. I got my Lost Origin shipment from one distributor on Sunday, so a couple days ago, and I got my Lost Origin shipment from the other distributor this afternoon. So it was almost 5 days later between distributors. And then if you factor in like actual storefronts running pre-release events, they received their product earlier than I believe they received their product last week, early last week. So I think it would just turn into a mess if they limited it to the first 10 graded copies or something really small like that. I think it would have to be something like what you said, the first 2 weeks or something like that. Just to allow more time to kind of factor in those people who receive product early and whatnot. But yeah, same as you. I think pricing on those types of cards would definitely command a substantial premium over a regular copy, as long as you're talking PSA 10s. Once you get to PSA 9s, 8s, 7s below, I really don't think there'd be any type of premium. But for those first couple 10s, I think there would definitely be a premium on those types of cards. I personally don't understand why there would be a premium, but it's the same thing that happens with every modern release. Pricing out of the gate is absolutely insane, and then pricing calms down a bit, and you can get better deals if you wait. But every single release, people are impatient, and I think there would be a good amount of collectors who were looking to add that kind of pedigree into their collection.
Yeah, it feels like a really, like Peak That you just commented, first edition slabs would be awesome. It feels so contrived and so artificial and so luck based. I wouldn't like any part of it. as far as like as far as like as a collector, but as a business, if it gives me another way to like sell things for more money, I guess I'm for it from that front. But it is just silly. I did show a couple examples while you were answering. I don't know if you saw them, but like
I did, yeah.
PCGS, yeah, PCGS has a first day of issue, emergency issue, says where it was struck at. To me, like, I don't get nearly as nitpicky over labels. Oh, for iteration 5 of the PSA label versus iteration 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't really care. I don't need my slabs to match grades, labels, anything. But like the Pokemon market feels very. It might even be the same people. I feel like I've heard the same people say, I need consistency in my collection. I have OCD. Everything needs to match. But then they've also said, I would love if I could personalize labels. So to me, it's like those feel like conflicting things. Yet I've heard some people say both things. So I don't really know. To me, it just, I don't know. Yeah, and Pikachu brings up how it's terrible for a consumer. They wouldn't stand a chance of getting products so much later than businesses. That's why I think it would need to be a time-based thing. It would need to go out at least a week or two after release to be fair, I guess, because guys like Nick and I, we might get it a week before, a few days before release. Even bigger stores might get it 2 weeks before. Influencers might get the the product from Pokemon directly weeks before, month before, something like that. So it's just very, very messy, and I guess I hope they don't go that route overall.
Yeah, I hope they don't either. The whole I know Squeaks and Radar talked about it in one of their last collectible conversation podcasts. But the whole like Pokemon sets being old at release is a little ridiculous, and having that type of pedigree on PSA labels would just make that whole situation so much worse. So yeah, I think that would be a big problem for sure, and something I would not enjoy. I almost wish we'd get back to the days where we really didn't know a ton of information about each set release before it actually released. Where nowadays we pretty much know the entire set like weeks before it actually comes out, which is it's good in a way, but it also kind of takes away the excitement for when you actually get the product and start opening it and all of that stuff.
Yeah, because I never really seek spoilers. I just, you get assaulted with them if you're on any form of social media. Like, I remember a couple weeks back when we got the first 3 images of the Charizard UPC, and now, like, a week or two after it's already old news, Pokemon comes out with the higher resolution ones, which again makes it new news. But it's crazy the amount of early releases and spoilers, and because it's social media, it gets clicks, it gets, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So it's never going to stop being a thing because it gets clicks, it builds hype, it creates FOMO. That's just the world we live in now.
Yeah, no, it definitely will never go away, that's for sure.
That was a good question though. I like that one. Next question came from PokeKid92. When trying to get distribution, how much capital do you think is needed to operate? If you want to take that one first.
Honestly, not much. I don't know. I've been working with distributors for a while. I believe it was early Sun and Moon is when I got into it, because I remember I was still ordering, or maybe it was late XY, either late XY, early Sun and Moon, because I remember the first few booster boxes I was getting were evolutions. So when I originally signed up with my distributor, obviously it was a completely different market. Modern was not nearly as hot as it is right now. So the process for signing up back then was really simple. I needed a sales tax ID, needed to fill out an application, and once I completed all of that stuff, they basically approved my application, and I was able to purchase from them directly. In the beginning, I was purchasing 2, 3 booster boxes of each set at a time. I was selling packs, opening some of the packs, stuff like that. So I really wasn't purchasing much at all, and I've kind of grown that over the years to where I'm purchasing a lot more than I used to. Obviously now with the kind of changing market and Modern being a lot more popular than it was back when I first started working with distributors, I do think there is more of a barrier to entry. I know some distributors are starting to accept applications again for new accounts, but I would imagine they'd want to have accounts that are going to purchase more product versus less product. Kind of having fewer customers purchasing more product than a lot of customers purchasing 2 or 3 booster boxes of each release, something like that. But in regards to that, I'm really not sure. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think there's 2 ways to answer it. There's like the baseline. What are the requirements to have an open account at a distributor to where they like won't just close you down for inactivity or close you down for insufficient volume? I think the threshold is very, very low. As Nick said, several years ago when I got in, I think the order minimum to get like free shipping, they call it, but I mean shipping's just built into their product price. When you're a brand new account ordering 2 or 3 booster boxes per set, you're not getting the per box price that someone that's buying them by the pallet. So they call it free shipping, but shipping is just built in. But having an account that's so small, doing the minimum orders to get free shipping or whatever, you're going to be operating, air quotes, but it's not going to be lucrative for you. Like, I think I'm getting this question so much recently. I might do a video on it at some point, but what everyone's really asking is, I want Charizard UPCs the next time they come out. Like, I want to be in with a distributor so that the next time something good comes out, I get it. The issue is, like, if you get in and if you're only ordering $300 a month, or if you're only ordering $1,000 a quarter, when a Charizard UPC comes out, you might not get any. Maybe you get a case, and maybe that's worthwhile. Maybe it's worth it to order $1,000 a quarter so that you can get that 1 or 2 bangers a year and just triple up your money. I don't really know, but it's all very relative. It's all specific to your situation, and to some extent too, like, it's a little bit luck based on what they allocate you. Every distributor is probably a little bit different. Maybe they have minimums. I don't really know though. The more the better is a very common answer. The more capital you have, the better. But and maybe a way to frame it more usefully too, if and when I do proceed to do like a YouTube video, I will just show you. Like, I did a 2021 overview video of how much I spent with wholesale distribution in 2021, and that number was approximately 100,000. This year I'm going to spend closer to 200,000. I'm on pace to spend. If I went all the way back to 2014, and if I showed my progression through the years, I think that could be useful or interesting to some people. Because off the top of my head, I do not know the number that I spent in 2014. It probably wasn't. Well, 2014 would have been a partial year. 2015, it couldn't have been $5,000. I wouldn't think. Maybe it barely was, but I'm now I've talked about it a little bit. I'm interested enough for myself that I'll probably make that video. But yeah, I mean, you can start at any scale, but expectations versus reality. People expect I'm gonna get Charizard UPCs, cases of them at $80 a piece, like the people who have 8-year-old accounts that have done going on $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, whatever it may be. You're going to be offered $86.50 battle styles when they're shipping for $89.99 on eBay. Or you're going to be offered what's that dog? The dog box that they had?
Oh, the
Yamper boxes, bolt-on boxes. Yeah, you're going to be offered things like that. And there, another very common question is, are you forced to take the garbage? You're never forced to take it. But if you don't take stuff, if you don't spend money on the stuff that they can't get rid of, what's going to be their motivation to give you the stuff that everyone wants that instantly sells out? So it's a fine balancing act. There's no like one singular answer, but it's I understand why it's a very common question, and there's just like no perfect answer out there. Go through the motions, get your business licensed, whatever you got to do, get your sales tax exemption, start calling distributors, get an account opened, and then just start doing it and see how it goes. I mean, that's the best way to experience it, right? Whatever I say, whatever you say, those are our experiences only. You might have a different experience. You might get in with a different distributor who maybe you'll get more than we would have expected you'd get. Who knows? It's hard to say.
Yeah, and then one more thing I would kind of echo off of what you said. The expectation of distribution and the reality of distribution are two completely different things, especially now that we're kind of back to a normal market. Obviously, Charizard UPCs are going to be an absolute home run. Dan and I are both going to make an absolute killing off of those. But for the most part, every other product has very small margins. Even look at the newest set that's coming out tomorrow, Lost Origin. You can buy booster boxes on TCG Player, eBay for $100 a piece. After fees, after shipping, the margins on those boxes are like a couple dollars, $2-3 you're making off those booster boxes. So it's not the vast majority of products that you're buying from distribution, you're not making an absolute killing on.
Yeah, and again, like even Lost Origins, they're instantly sold out. The whole thing is just gone. That's not going to be like in stock. Maybe if there's wave 2, maybe if there's a reprint that comes pretty quickly. But as of right now, like the sets that are available at wholesale distribution for me to go on and order are the ones that you don't want, because you can get them cheaper to your door with eBay, with some rebates, with a PayPal credit card, with the extra 3%, with whatever it may be. Like there are a lot of sets out there that you can get cheaper to your door just through eBay than through your distributor. So that's the reality of wholesale distribution in normal times with normal releases. Next question. Oh yeah, so Scott Rogers says, I miss the what have I been buying videos that both of you used to share. Are those behind a paywall now? If so, I would probably join. Thanks. Not behind a paywall for me. I don't believe for Nick either. Nick just doesn't make videos anymore, apparently. I'll let him defend himself in a minute on that. But for me, I've been doing the weekly lives. I've not been buying a ton recently. I've been buying a ton of wholesale modern, and I don't make videos about that really. That is kind of boring. That just, it's not. I'm not to say ultra modern's boring. It's actually a really big part of my business. It just, some of that I don't even physically touch. It goes in Troll and Toad and all that. But I've not been buying too much recently. I did have a collection though that I showed the whole thing in my live. It's just instead of making a standalone 10 to 30 minute video, I've been doing it inside of my 1 to 4 hour weekly live that I've been doing. So yeah, if you want to see what I've been buying, I need to be better about when the video's done. I need to go back and add some timestamps. But instead, same thing goes for PSA send-offs, CGC send-offs, PSA and CGC returns. I'm not really going to do those in standalone videos anymore. I'm just going to do those during live streams. So mine are still present. Mine are still there. It's just you got to look a little bit harder, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've uploaded anything on YouTube, and I've just been busy. I got back into it for a few videos back about a month ago, and then I quickly gave that up again. I am planning on getting back on YouTube at some point. I actually just recorded a video of a cool collection piece that I bought. So that video will be uploaded either tomorrow or next week. Probably next week, because I want to do a little bit of editing. Throw a couple pictures in the video before I actually upload it. But similar to Dan, I really haven't been buying too much in terms of like good older WotC type collections. I've been doing a bunch of modern stuff and then just focusing on what I have, trying to clear out some space, get everything that I don't have listed, or at least sorted to a point where I know what's in each of the boxes that I have, and so on and so forth. So that's been taking up a good portion of my time. I honestly can't remember the last like resale collection that I bought off of like Facebook or eBay or anything like that. It's been a good bit of time since I've bought anything like that. I guess I did buy and trade a few things at Long Beach, so I guess that counts a little bit. But aside from that, it's probably been a couple months.
Yeah, I'm starting up consignments now, so my focus is like I'm close to getting done with my PSA and CGC graded card backlog that I need to get listed on eBay. I'm getting relatively close, but then like 185 card MetaZoo CGC return just landed. I have most of those listed already, but when a consignment comes in, that's priority one. I get those turned right around and listed. And anyone who watched my live stream last night, like, I just have monster boxes full that I've been trying to go through periodically. I need to get a bunch of whatnot consignments out. I need to get like, I had so much hope and so many plans for the summer. Like my son just started pre-K today. My wife's back to teaching. So I did not remotely get through what I wanted to get through over the summer as far as my personal backlog of stuff goes. I wanted to have just everything caught up, and it didn't happen at all. But yeah, that was the last question for the from the last episode. So I'm gonna go back to the top of the chat, and I'm slowly gonna work down. If you see any question you want me to pop up, let me know. But yeah, as always, just keep dropping those questions in chat, and we'll get to them. I'm 30 minutes behind because I'm at the top of the chat, so we'll see how quick we can catch up, if we can catch up. Here we go. So Chat BN asks, do you believe PSA are going to be done with the backlog this month? It's not looking like it. Probably not. I do believe they'll get done with it before the end of the year. But I guess PSA being done with the backlog, what does that fully mean? Maybe they will have them all graded and encapsulated. I think functionally what it means to a lot of people is for PSA to be done with the backlog, I physically need to have my 1,000 cards that are still there in my hands. But the problem is that's through Ludkins. So there's some time lag in when PSA finishes them, when they send them to Ludkins, especially like we're both pretty close with James from ZNG Emporium. He has something like, I forget how many tens of thousands of cards it is exactly. He has tens of thousands of cards though that are all supposed to be finishing grading in the next few weeks to month. So will that take him an extra month to get them all back? Will that take him an extra 2 months to get them all back? Like if 100,000 cards all land on one day, if PSA just sends like a full UPS truck of pallets. So yeah, as far as like, I'm hopeful that they'll be done grading them this or next month, and I'm hopeful that I get them physically back in my hands before the end of the year. That'll be really disappointing if I don't, because I have some from November of 2020. November of 2020 when I sent them, not whatever arbitrary date PSA comes with when they were entered or when they were whatever. What do you think?
Yeah, I would pretty much agree there. I think within the next month or two, they'll be cleared through the backlog. And then hopefully start working on the $18 July special that they had running, because I'd like to get those cards back. But yeah, I think we're finally nearing the end of the 2020 early 2021 PSA backlog. I pretty much agree with James, what he said in the chat. Done with the $10 bulk by Halloween. That would not surprise me whatsoever, because they are coming towards the end. They're grading a ton of cards every month, so I wouldn't be surprised there.
Yeah, you want to just popped up for you. You want to take Mitch's question?
What are your thoughts on the recent theory that COVID was an inside job by SM Pratt, Gary, and Leonhardt to get everyone to stay at home and stimulate the Pokemon card market? I would agree there. I think that's a good tinfoil hat theory there.
I have no proof I have no proof that they didn't do it.
Yeah, until we're proven otherwise, that's the theory we're gonna go with.
Yeah. More serious question. Peak Datchu asks, what's a less known fact about private sales, buyouts, etc. that the mass market should probably know about? I don't know. If you know, tell me, because I don't think I'm in all these secret meetings where all the Pokemon market moves get decided. I think my invite was lost to all those like deep state meetings, unfortunately. But let me try to think of a serious response to that. I don't know. I feel like it's hard to tell because we're so engaged. We're so deep into this. I don't even know what the general known facts are about that. So I don't know what I know that most people don't know. I feel like everyone to some extent knows the existence of them. Everyone who would be affected by them. Everyone who would care. I mean, most people's engagement with the hobby is literally going to Walmart, going to their LGS, going to Target, buying the most modern pack and opening it and putting it in a binder, putting it in their pocket, wherever. Like, most people aren't affected, don't care. Like, most collectors in the Pokemon hobby literally only interact with buying ultra modern, newest sets at MSRP. No secondary market, no selling, no troll and toad TCG player, no grading cards. Like, it's crazy for me to say that, for us to think that, because we're so deep into it. But so for the people who literally have no care, no effect by that, it doesn't really matter. So if I answered it too, if I told them, none of them are watching. So like, for everyone who's watching, everyone who's engaging this much, I feel like I know no more than they do on any of these topics. Like, that's my initial reaction to that. Having been party to a few private transactions, I mean, the most notable recent one that actually I brought public, because I'm all for transparency and sharing information when I can. But part of it is like, people like their privacy. Rusty and I are both public facing Pokemon, Poketubers, whatever you want to call it. So we were both comfortable bringing those details of that transaction to the market, to the space. Not everyone is, though. So I guess I'll let you go here. I just had a long-winded response. Maybe I'll reply with a little bit further, but I don't know how deep I want to get.
Yeah. So like you were saying, I do think the vast majority of transactions that happen are eventually made public. There are definitely transactions that happen that we don't know about and probably never will know about, but I don't think that has as much to do with like the market as opposed to people's privacy. People not wanting to disclose how much they paid for whatever card, or that they even have whatever card, just because of the high pricing. The only real thing that I could add to that is there are definitely not a lot, but some really big collections out there that you kind of have to like know the right people in order to get those collections. Like I know Leonhardt and Rare Candy bought a really big Japanese collection. And that was because Leonhardt has a massive YouTube following. And so the person reached out to Leonhardt because he knew Leonhardt from his massive following. And then there was another promo, like WotC promo collection, with just an absurd amount of promos that I saw recently. And it all just comes down to kind of being in the right place at the right time, having people kind of know your name so that they could reach out to you. I've never been privy to one of those gigantic purchases, but maybe one day. But that's about all I'd have to add to that one.
Yeah, I've owned a few cards. I've been a party to some transactions that I've alluded to or that I've talked about directly, but I've been unable to share pricing. I mean, if someone buys something from me and they say, please don't share the price of this for whatever, sometimes, I mean, a lot of times it's just like, I want the number to remain private. I don't ask questions on why. I just, I follow their wishes. I don't have to in any way. I could say I'm going to, and then just share it. That would not be something I would be comfortable doing. There's a reason I don't. It might make people less apt to transact with me in the future. But I mean, I've had people tell me, please don't tell anyone what I paid because I'm trying to buy a lot more. And like I've sold things for record prices and had people say, please don't tell anyone what I paid. I want to buy 5 more of these. I want to buy all of these. So maybe that's an unknown fact. Some people want things to be private so that they can get more without like a big flashy number. Say a card is transacting for $5,000 and I'm able to sell one for 10. That going out on YouTube, that going out into the space, it might like make the people who own theirs, well, there's a new data point. Now I want 10. Now I don't want 5, which is last public sold on eBay or PWCC or Heritage. Now I want that bigger number. So I guess that's one little tidbit that I'll share. Some of the cards that I own too, there's a very small pool of people who own them, and especially of people who publicly own them. So there are times where I've been hit up over certain cards, and then I'll get a call or a text or IG message. Hey, did XYZ, did they hit you up about this? Because they were talking to me about mine. And yeah, there's definitely a relatively small circle of people transacting in certain niche, super high-end, very low print run items. So there's some information, I guess, into the behind the scenes maybe. I hadn't yet hit the like button either, so I just hit that. Hit the like button if you're enjoying what you're listening to. Let's see what else we got.
I hear you. I'm terrible about hitting the like button too.
So Reeks doesn't really have a question, but has a hot take. Moonbryon will cross the $1,000 mark before it comes back down. Demand still super hot and less being graded each week via Pokemetrics, and no major reprint in sight. Do you have any response to that hot take?
I could almost believe it. That would not be. I would not be shocked if that did actually happen. The pricing with Evolving Skies and EV Heroes are a complete mystery to me. I thought was talking about Evolving Skies. I thought pricing for the booster boxes would go down a fair bit more than it actually did with the reprint of booster boxes. We really didn't see pricing go down all that much with those booster boxes. And then even with like the ETB reprint that they did or are going to do, I don't think we'll see much of a drastic change with pricing on the overall sealed product. And then talking about the Umbreon specifically, that card has really done nothing but increase in price, which is to me really surprising given how many copies are actually out there and selling on eBay every single day. But it is a really, really popular card. Probably one of the most popular cards that everyone is talking about right now. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if PSA 10 copies crossed $1,000.
Yeah, so I just pulled up on Pokemetrics the data so we could see it. Yeah, so in the past 5 weeks, 300 PSA 10s have been graded. That's a PSA 10 rate of about 60 per week on average over the last 5 weeks. Only 23 in the past week. I don't know exactly how this works. We did have a holiday, so maybe it's deflated a little bit by the fact that PSA was off Monday. I'm assuming this would go by calendar days. So there's a slight explanation. But yeah, definitely coming in at a slower rate on that short time frame that we can see. Ultra modern is just such a wild thing to me. Like, this hot take doesn't seem that it's warm. I don't know that I'd call it a hot take though. Like, I guess to a lot of people it probably would be. It would probably hurt a lot of people's feelings if the Moonbreon goes back over 1,000 when their WotC cards aren't doing what they think they should be, and when XYZ cards should be worth so many multiples of Moonbreon because it's better for these reasons. The market doesn't care about your feelings. It's supply and demand. Even though the supply is super high, the demand is super high, so the price goes up. So yeah, it wouldn't completely shock me if that were to be the case. It is it's a card that I've not interacted with. I've never owned one raw nor graded. I've only opened a limited amount of Evolving Skies product. But crazy. It's I mean, I think it's good. It shows how healthy and big and broad the hobby is, that there's so much money going through these ultra modern products.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys feel distributions should start having a membership and let you buy product for a little less? That could gauge real demand and make serious stores more margin. Like a membership fee.
It's like a BJ's almost, or Sam's Club type of thing.
Yeah, I don't really like that feels really, really weird. I don't know what the merits of that would be. Because when I'm like, what would the membership fee be? I'm on track to spend $200,000 at wholesale distribution this year. What would my annual membership fee be? Are you talking about like a $5,000 or $10,000 annual fee? That's gonna choke out. Like, I would probably like it. I mean, if you cut my prices by 5%, I would pay 10 grand to cut my prices by 5% because it would be plus EV. I would save more than I spent. This year it would be like break even, and then all subsequent years I would benefit even more and more as I grew. But a number like that would suffocate out all the smaller guys. Maybe those guys are already being suffocated out by the fact that they're buying a booster box at $8,650 and I'm buying it closer to $82. But the really big guys that are spending millions a year, they're buying it closer to 75 or something probably. I don't even, like, those numbers are kind of made up to some extent in the range of what they used to be a few years ago, but I just don't know what benefit really comes from that personally. I think functionally that almost goes on just by the variable pricing that they employ. Smaller accounts getting bigger prices, bigger accounts getting smaller prices. That's functionally a membership fee of sorts.
Yeah, I don't like the idea. I think distributors are making plenty of margin as it is. And like you said, the whole distribution aspect is kind of aggravating at times, because there's no like set pricing that distributors charge to accounts. If you purchase this many booster boxes, you can get this pricing. for example, like I said, I work with 2 distributors. I roughly order about the same amount of product from each distributor. One distributor was charging me $86.50 for a booster box. The other distributor was charging me $82.50 for a booster box. So you're talking a $4 difference for the exact same product with roughly the exact same volume. So yeah, it's kind of frustrating sometimes with that. But yeah, no, I don't. I think the membership thing would it would only benefit distributors and large accounts. Any of your small accounts trying to get into buying, selling through distribution, I think it would only hurt them, which I'm not a fan of that, just because we all started out as a small account. So I think distribution being open to pretty much anyone is the way to go.
Yeah. Yep. If you want to go with this one, Peak That Shoe asks, don't most distributors require a brick and mortar currently?
So I think it's Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic and a few other games, you do have to have a brick and mortar store. For Pokemon, you could be online. I know, like, if you want to do, like how Mason Cardinal Gaming does his pre-release events, gets the pre-release kits, gets his product earlier than other people. For that type of stuff, you do have to have a brick and mortar store. Dan and I can't get the pre-release kits on release because we're just online. We don't have a brick and mortar store. So there are a few minimal perks to having a brick and mortar store and ordering through distribution within Pokemon, but for the most part, it's the same. I'd say that the biggest perk is getting product a lot earlier, as well as you also get some cool stuff as well. Like I know with Pokemon Go, they sent out a whole kit of different stickers and posters and stuff like that, and only brick and mortar stores were able to get that. Some of the like jumbo lenticular cards, they send those out to the brick and mortar stores who have accounts. So you can get some cool stuff, but for the most part, it's roughly the same for Pokemon at least.
Yeah, and I just shared, there's a website. If you just Google who are Pokemon's wholesale distributors, there's a whole list right there. It looks like they updated it 1 hour ago. I don't know what they updated. Maybe they updated the phone number for one of the branches or something. But this is literally an exhaustive list of all of Pokemon wholesale distributors worldwide. If you're interested in getting in with one, I would recommend you consult with your accountant, consult with whoever, not advice, all that good stuff. But I would get the proper business things in place, and I would get, every state calls it something differently. I have what's called a certificate of authority for New York. I would get that in place, and I would start calling and shoot your shot. Worst thing you do is miss. Call these people up. Hey, are you taking online retailer accounts? I do believe there are actual certain distributors. This is a guess. I think like ACD. I think I called them 8 years ago, and I think they only took brick and mortar. Like even for Pokemon, I could be they've changed over the past years. Could be my 8-year memory is just bad. But I think there are certain distributors that only work with brick and mortar. But then, as you said, there are certain IPs, there are certain TCGs, CCGs, whatever, that only deal with like a lot. I think a lot of sports stuff has to be brick and mortar. I think like MetaZoo actually. MetaZoo is brick and mortar only. They have regulations around like an MPN, their MetaZoo Partner Network, MetaZoo Play Network. One way around that, like I circumvent that through the partnership program. I'm partnered with them directly. That's like a going around the wholesale distribution model. But every case is different. Every one of these companies has different policies. Every one of these companies is in a different position. Some of them may be taking online retailers, some not. I'm not going to call them to find out for you. Nick's not either. At the end of the day, like if you want to do it, you got to just start knocking on doors, start calling these numbers, and go from there. That's what it comes down to.
one other quick thing, if any of you are interested in looking into any of these distributors, start with ones that are close to you, and then kind of work your way out, just to save on shipping. Most of the distributors have multiple locations, but just kind of be aware of that and try and find one that's semi-local to you. Like, I live in Massachusetts, so I wouldn't want to work with the GTS office in Hawaii because shipping would be absolutely insane.
I've ordered from Alaska before. One of my distributors has a branch in Alaska and Kentucky. People probably know who I'm talking. I mean, I'm talking about Mad Al. Not like it's a big secret, but the way their website works, like you filter by in stock in Kentucky, and then it shows you items that are in stock in Alaska but not Kentucky. So I've bought stuff, and it's like, hey, do you want to pay this freight fee? Sometimes I have, sometimes I haven't. But PokeFresh has got a question for you, Nick.
What's the life of a retired PokeTuber like? I commented a response saying I'm loving the retired PokeTuber life. I'm just out golfing every day, living the dream over here. No, the YouTube thing stopped just because it was summer, so I do like to spend some time outside, biking, golfing, stuff like that. And then
Outside?
just been busy with cards.
Ew.
Yeah, but believe it or not, I don't like being cooped up down in the basement 24/7. Maybe if I can spend like an hour a day getting some fresh air, it would be nice. But now that we're kind of getting back into the fall, kind of getting back into the swing of things, should be able to get back on YouTube at some point here. I'm not gonna be as optimistic or as driven as Dan over here. I'm gonna try and do one video a week now, and then that'll turn into one every other week, and then one every month.
I'm gonna set my expectations very, very low. I've been hurt before. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Dark Lava Lizard has a question for you too.
Who will buy a house first, you or Cool Trainer Ryan? I know in the past you said you're looking to buy. I watched one of Ryan's recent videos where he was unloading a pallet of modern product, and he kind of showed his garage, and he definitely needs more space, even more so than I do. But the housing market is just absolutely insanity right now. I go out, so I'm still looking at houses out in like Western Mass, and I've offered on one house that got overbid by like $40,000 from their asking price, so that was fun. But yeah, I just don't even know what to do anymore. Do I buy a house now? Do I wait? It's such a weird time with everything that's going on with the economy. So it'll happen eventually. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but we'll see what happens there. Eventually, I might have to move out to the middle of the woods with be Dan's neighbor.
I was gonna say I heard Gixxon works really well, so I just put in your snipe bid through Gixxon, and maybe you'll win more houses. Yeah, I was gonna say too though. There's houses near me. There's a lot of space, a lot of land. Just there's a cornfield right down the road. Talk to the farmer, buy a couple acres off the cornfield, turn it into a lawn. I'll come help.
There we go.
Everyone's asking Nick questions here. Retro
you're
wants you to
any love over here.
talk about your days as a Navy man.
So I was never actually in the Navy. I was on the commercial side of things. So working on container ships, stuff like that. It was an absolute blast pre-COVID. I absolutely loved it. With COVID, it turned into an absolute nightmare, and that was kind of the final straw that made me want to stop doing that and go full-time Pokemon. I do miss being on the water. I love being on the ocean. You get to see some really cool stuff out there. Sea turtles, whales, dolphins. The stars at night are absolutely incredible because there is no light whatsoever around you.
Yeah, I
So
can
that
see
kind of
stars
stuff,
too. There's not much light around here.
oh, it's nothing compared to being in the middle of the ocean.
Uh,
But the actual working aspect and not being able to get off the ship at all with COVID was terrible. So I'm glad I made the switch.
do you know what Josh Jenkins is referencing here? Talk about wealth transfer. I think it was asked around the time that I was talking about the private sales. So maybe it's.
I think it was because I do remember seeing it around that time. I don't know what he's talking about though.
Yeah, if I don't know if this is I don't know if this is a serious question or not, but I guess refine your question. Let us know exactly what it's with respect to. The only thought I had was maybe uh in 2020 there were some big collectors that like sold out. They sent everything to PWCC or Heritage or Golden, and they're like removing a lot of money from the hobby from some of these higher end buyers that are coming in. That's my only thought. I don't really have too much to share. I mean, that's what happened, right? Certain people sold at the peak bubble, and then whether or not they come back into it, I have no idea. But yeah, let us know if you want us to elaborate more on that. But next question comes from Busy B. Do you guys think the pre-release promos in the build and battle kits have some long-term value and interest? I don't really know. There's so many promos. There's so many. Like the question is always what's gonna make them stand out. Like Vivid Voltage, I went heavy on both the staffs and the non-staffs because it just felt so obvious, and it worked out well. I went heavy because 4 promos. Charizard, Lugia, Snorlax, and then Donphin. That was quite the stellar lineup of promos. They bubbled during the bubble. I sold a lot of them. I still have some stragglers coming back from PSA. My cost basis was super low, getting them wholesale. The staff packs I bought at about 1,000 a piece back at the initial release hype. Those have actually come back down. I think the sealed packs are coming down close to what I paid for them back at release. But the graded cards, though, I still did really well opening and grading those into the hype. As far as long term, though, like my question is what's going to make them stand out? There's a niche there. They're fairly niche. They're not going to be as in demand, I don't think, as the actual set cards that you can pull from packs, but they're also not produced to the quantity as the set cards you can pull from packs, generally speaking. So I don't have a good answer. It's a very speculative play if you're going to be trying to make that. I think any long-term play on buying a card and waiting for it to go up in value is just inherently speculative and tough.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you there. There's just so many different pre-release promos. You get 4 with every set. So the ideal pre-release promo is going to be something like Vivid Voltage, where 3 of the 4 promos are really, really good. But then you also need to have that set be really, really good as well. Like if you could combine the pre-release promos of Vivid Voltage with the Evolving Skies set, I think those promos would be a solid long-term play. But where you had those promos with Vivid Voltage, which was a decent set, I don't think they're going to do as well in the long term. So I think with those you have to be really, really careful and really choosy on what you're actually buying, just because there are a lot of them that come out with every single set, and every single set has them. So you kind of have to think about what's going to set these specific ones apart from all of the other ones from all of the other sets.
There is this really interesting dynamic too, like during the 2020 Mania, I chucked out a lot of the same cards that everyone chucked out. If you chucked out Sword Shield 50, you weren't punished because you chucked out a $10 card with a $7 grading fee and you were able to sell them for 40 or 50 bucks. It didn't stunk out as much as a lot of people hoped. But like pre-release Lugia, I think I sent those out. My cost basis was nearly nothing. You could make the argument that you would have been better off selling those just raw or sealed, the promos early on. But like the Lugias that I sent out, I had no cost into them. I graded them for $7 a piece. I think 9 sell for a little over 20, and then 10s maybe in the 30s. It's not crazy. It was like 70 or 80, and just coming down and down and down. But if you're grading the more niche things that no one else is, the pops stay lower. There's less demand out there, but there's also less supply. So there's almost times where if you're grading the ones that no one else are, you get those niche collectors to just randomly, oh yeah, I'll spend 50 bucks on that. Whereas the one that's graded into the ground might only go for 30, even though it's a way more popular species. So yeah, there could be like a very small niche play that you can make. Like I grade Pokemon coins. If everyone were to start grading Pokemon coins, the cost basis is 0. The grading is the same as card prices. Those coins that I was selling for $100 a piece, ultra modern packs that I'm selling for $100 a piece. If everyone starts grading them and the pops just go to the moon, it's a really niche collector market that are after those. So those can completely tank. But while I'm one of the few that are grading them, very, very lucrative. Just slow burn. Like you can't, you're not going to sell out of 1,000 of them in a year. Kind of like Nick's pin buy. It's a very slow burn, but higher margin play. Nostalgia Lad asks, do you think that Pokemon in the UK can ever get to the levels of popularity as the US? You guys have so many events and so many people engaged in the hobby, it's almost unfair. What do you think?
I think just like because of how many more people are in the US compared to Japan, UK, anywhere, Australia, anywhere else, I don't think it'll ever be as popular. And that just has to do with the population. There's so many more people in the US, so therefore we have a lot more collectors in the US than anywhere else. So because we have a lot more collectors, there's a lot more going on with Pokemon, if that makes any sense. That would be my quick take on that one.
And I highlighted your average player's response. He said, being at Worlds 2022, I don't think that the interest is any less per capita in the UK. The thing that makes events less frequent is the Pokemon Company UK/EU really low efforts. I would push back on that a little bit. I don't think it's Pokemon leading the charge. Like Collecticon, they don't have any direct nor indirect collaboration with Pokemon Company. They're partnered fairly closely with I don't know if partnered is the right word. They're involved with MetaZoo to some much deeper extent. They're involved with CGC is always there. Heritage is always there. Maybe partnered is the right word. I'm not entirely sure, but Collecticon, Collecticon is like a private entity that just decided to put on their own events. Why is no one in the UK taking it upon themselves to be an event organizer? I think it's a very high risk thing. Given that no one's doing it, I guess no one at this point has deemed the risk worthy of the potential reward. So if anyone's listening that has the ability or knows anyone who does, go for it. Like if there's demand and no one's supplying it, it could be lucrative to be the one to supply it though. But you do need to be careful when you venture out into uncharted territories. It might be because other people have thought about it and deemed it not worthy. But if it were to pan out and you could get a foothold as being the UK convention, as being I think UK has weird things going on too, where they're not part of the EU. So as far as like, I'm in New York, I can easily travel interstate to Massachusetts, to Florida, to North Carolina, to California. If you're in the UK, how the travel goes to Germany, how the travel goes to Italy, like what countries you'd pick, how the free travel works. I don't know any of that side of it, but I think us being United States with 300 or 400 million people, a lot of which spend a lot of money on Pokemon, it's all regulatory. It's fairly easy too. I mean, I think the U.S. was generally less restrictive than a lot of other countries during pandemic and all that. So the pandemic has been a constant aggravation over the past 2.5 years against creating any conventions when the market seems thirsty for them. So yeah, that's just a bunch of different considerations as to why it might be the case, but someone's got to go for it, right? I mean, someone's got to do it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, the people who started CollectCon had a great idea, and they are absolutely killing it right now. When did those weekly videos start? Well, I don't know. I think I was telling Dan this before we started recording. I might have mentioned it in the live too. I did record a video, so that'll be uploaded either tomorrow or next week. So we'll see on that one. And then, but yeah, the 2023 that might work out better. Just give me a fresh start, a fresh new year.
Oh, and
give me a reason to procrastinate another couple months.
Your average player mentions that he's friends with UK creators like PokeChloe and PokeDean. TPC UK never do anything to sponsor or help them out like TPC USA do with other creators. So yeah, I guess it might partially be TPC to blame, but as far as convention goes, like as far as I understand, I don't think they're doing anything in the convention space. I don't think Pokemon is contributing because when you go to these Collecticon events, there's no I mean, there's a ton of Pokemon in the building to be sold, but there's the huge inflatable Pikachu, I guess, but there's no like official corporate Pokemon booth or signage or anything like that. Like it's Pokemon is there and being sold, but it's not an official partner or anything affiliate of the convention. Reeks has a question. Known population and condition aside, which snap card do you believe should be worth the most? Which is your most favorite? And which is your least favorite? Oof.
Squirtle should be worth the most. Just because that's the best one, obviously. And least favorite, I would go with I would actually go with Pikachu. I really don't like the Pikachu one. It's way too up close.
Is it better than like the coughing? I mean, coughing is coughing.
I would honestly say coughing is better than the Pikachu.
I mean, he's got a decent pose. I'm obviously very familiar with the release, and I don't have every art immediately come to my mind though. But now that I'm looking at them, I do remember them all. I've definitely seen them all. To me, like, I like Charmander's my guy, so I would probably say Charmander's my favorite. The Gyarados one is really silly looking, really weird. Gyarados is cool though. Which one should be worth the most? It is weird. Like Pikachu is the winner of popularity for all the species they included, but the art is kind of weird. It's just right in on his face. I guess Charmander, and then the worst being like Coughing or Poliwag, just because of the species that they are.
So you stole my answer with what should be worth the most, the one that you like the most.
Ernesto says, question for Nick. What does Gligar evolve into, if I even pronounce that correctly?
I have no idea.
Let's phone a friend.
That was like
Gliscor.
That was like your live last night. what was that? The Dragon's Exalted Rayquaza. That Colson was asking what Japanese set that card came from. I couldn't even tell you the English set that card came out of. Once you get outside of the WotC era, even like more specifically, once you get past Neo Destiny, my Pokemon knowledge just plummets. I'm decent with like EX era, but the base through Neo Destiny, that's what I know best. Once you get outside of that, it's just very minimal.
Yeah, I'm not great either. I have more knowledge of like XY era, I feel, than a lot of Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield era, because I was just cracking a case or two of every set in that era, and I haven't really done it since. Someday I might get back into it, but it's tough. Like there's so many things that I learned 8 years ago that I've probably since forgotten. When I was going through and opening one of every set, like I opened one of every box and I learned about each. I looked up what the chases were. I mean, I looked into what I could possibly get as I opened each box, and a lot of that just doesn't really stick around if you're not actively like using it and interacting with those sets and cards more frequently.
Yeah, exactly. I forget now what Rusty had one where I forget what it was, but it was like part of the reason why he got into doing all these live streams opening packs was because he used to know all these card names and numbers so like off the top of his head, but he's starting to forget that in his old age because he's not so involved with opening product and seeing all the new cards and all that. But I forget what he talked about it in a video. And it was like, I completely forget, but it was something like so obvious that he had forgotten. I thought that was funny.
It sounds familiar. I definitely watched the same video too, but I don't remember what specifically he had forgotten. You want to take the question up on the screen?
Oh, what are your guys' thoughts on victory medal cards for investment purposes? I personally, I'm not too big into Japanese stuff. I do like the artwork on the victory medal cards. Specifically the what is it? The 2009 gym challenge ones where you got the bronze, silver, gold with Pikachu on them. I have a set of those. I think they're cool. But in terms of like investability, I think they're almost too niche for me to wanna buy them for in investment purposes. Maybe it's just me. I really don't know a lot about Japanese. But when I first saw the 2009 copies, I bought those, added those into my collection. Tried to get more information on like where these cards came from, what other cards are out there, and there's really not a whole lot of information on those types of cards and like the different years and the different places. So I kind of just lost interest because the information wasn't like right there, right out in front of me. And I think that's a big hurdle that's going to prevent like long-term investability in a lot of these like Japanese kind of niche cards that not a lot of people know about. I personally think the best investments within Pokemon are going to be cards that the vast majority of people know about, kind of the most popular cards that everyone wants. Once you start losing some of that buyer pool, you're looking at less and less people interested in that card. So yeah, that's what I would say for that one.
Yeah, I've made a video dedicated to this topic of use of that terminology. I don't like any cards risk adjusted. Like very, very few. I think there are very, very few cards out there that I like their risk adjusted returns compared to more traditional investing assets. So when you use like investment, my mind immediately goes to 10, 20, 30-year time horizons. I think when a lot of people use it though, they're talking about like, can I buy this and double my money in 6 months? And that's not picking on you. I don't know what your time frame is, But yeah, for me, like there are almost no cards out there that I like buying, sticking in a safe for 20 years, and then just assuming that they'll get some reasonable rate of return over that time frame. I mean, theoretically, S&P 500, 7% after inflation per year means you double up every 10 years. Over 20 years, I have an expectation every dollar I put, especially because I'm putting tax advantage dollars. Very, very boring answer. We're probably going to lose 30 viewers as I answer this, but every pre-tax dollar that I put in, I'm expecting to turn into $4 20 years from now after like inflation adjusted. So there's just almost no cards in Pokemon that I buy with those same expectations or future projections on. Card like this, Nick got into a lot of the nitty gritty on why I'm also not a huge fan of this card. I don't even know what they go for exactly. I think it's a fairly diverse area too. Like I actually just took in one on consignment. It was one of the more rare stamped ones. I don't even know the print run, no stamp, with a stamp. I have no idea honestly about, but for the price of a card like that, I feel like there's things I'd turn to first before that, but I don't even know what the price ranges are exactly. I don't know which specific Victory Medal cards you're talking about, so I wouldn't even be able to point to like what I'd like better. But yeah, there's my long-winded answer to that. J Ray Pokey asks, or J Ray Poke, what are your guys' thoughts on selling Pokemon cards on Instagram? I think there's merit to it, but one of the things this actually came up in my office hours this morning. Shameless self promotion for the Pokenomics Patreon, but I think in this space, a lot of people are overly fee averse. I've definitely brought that up on PokeFlipz before. 12-13% fee to eBay for the platform they provide, for the buyer pool they provide, for everything they do is so reasonable. It's so, I would go as far to say it's cheap. I hope nobody corporately who works for eBay is in here. I would pay them more money. Please don't raise my fees, but if they raise their fees fairly significantly, I wouldn't leave. When you sell on Instagram, you get into like one of the biggest underrated things about eBay is, well, yeah, there's multiple, but one of the biggest ones, when I sell, if they're in New York, if they're in Connecticut, if they're in Florida, if they're in California, wherever they are, eBay handles, they collect and they remit the proper sales tax. If they have a sales tax exemption, in New York, the form is called a W-9. I have no idea what the forms are called in other states, but I'm sales tax exempt on cards I buy for resale. I provided my W-9 to eBay, and so they don't charge me sales tax on items purchased for resale. I don't have to handle that. I don't have to figure that out. I just sell it on eBay. eBay handles all that on the buyer's end, and they handle it with the proper regulatory body, the proper tax jurisdiction. They remit all those things. When you sell on Instagram, legally, you have to do all that. When you sell on PayPal, Instagram, wherever, if you sell on your own website, legally that falls on you. That is not easy to do. That is very difficult logistically. And eBay just handles all that. Plus on Instagram, it's like if you run stories, those expire after 24 hours. And eBay, you just make a post, you go to sleep, you go about your day, you do your other things. When it tells you to ship them, you ship them. It's more passive in that respect, that you put up a listing and it just lives there. So I see the merit in it. You can split the fees with your seller. You guys can both save 6%, and it's awesome and it's great. But like all the regulatory crap that you're just illegally circumventing is not that attractive when you really get down to it.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. We pretty much have the same thoughts there. eBay is just so much easier to use compared to Instagram. And plus, what was I gonna say? easier to use and easier to keep track of what you're selling or what you're listing, what's sold, all of that stuff. I honestly don't know how people run an entire business on Instagram or Facebook. That sounds like an absolute nightmare to me. Like seeing I'm on Facebook a lot in a lot of the Pokemon groups. Seeing like the claim sales with like 500 comments, how does anyone even keep track of that? That would be an absolute nightmare, shipping out all those orders, keeping track of all those messages. I don't know how people like that do that. I can't even keep track of like one sale a week through Instagram. I'll forget to mail it the next day or something like that'll happen.
And very, very often, I think that people penny wise, pound foolish. I think they're saving the 12% eBay fees, but they're costing themselves 20% in realized price. Like I think I feel like I'm losing my mind lately. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier in this podcast. I don't know if I mentioned it. It might have been in my live last night. Cole actually peeked at you, made a joke about how many lives I've been on recently, but I think a good service charges you a fee that's less than the additional revenue they allow you to realize. So like eBay is charging me 13%. I am realizing infinitely more. Like take it to its base level. If I was going to have a garage sale on my front lawn, eBay is selling my cards for substantially higher than 13% more than I could sell them for on my front lawn. Absolutely. Now compare it to TCG Player, compare it to Golden Heritage, PWCC, compare it to going to a convention. I think eBay provides more than a 13% premium on 99% of cards than you can sell them anywhere else. Like, and then again, going back to like how much easier and how much quicker it is, generally speaking, than the other methods. Like to me, eBay is providing way more than 13% of gross sale value, in my opinion. And then again, I'm doing some self-promotion here, but like the consignment service thing, Nick actually does some too. Nick does some auction consignments, but he also does some buy it now consignments. I think a good service will yield you more money net than you would otherwise through a different service. So like part of my sales pitch for buy it now consignments is I'm charging you 20%. If you sold on eBay yourself for 13%, I will yield you more than that additional 7%, especially over like auction consignment services. That's my thought. We saw how the numbers worked out on the PSA 9 base Charizard, but in my hour-long video there. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. I think people are way people are way too afraid to pay fees, and people are way too afraid to do things like legally by the book. Because once you do things legally by the book as a business, so many doors unlock as far as, again, not tax advice, but like writing things off and saving money in tax advantage accounts. There are so many supplementary ways that you like get benefits. There are so many different benefits that unlock when you do things properly as a business.
Yeah, absolutely. eBay is definitely the way to go in my opinion.
Yeah. Scott Rogers says on the house thing, you should buy a duplex and house hack. Diversify your net worth using real estate. So yeah, just buy like a two house unit or a 4-house unit, live in one of them, lease out the rest, have the other people pay your mortgage. That it all sounds great and it works great when it works great, but if you get bad tenants, like there can be a lot of issues there.
Yeah, I'm scarred for life with that. My uncle did that for a while, and he bought a 3-story house. He lived on one floor. He had tenants in the other 2 floors, and he was doing really good with that. And then he got into other houses. He bought one more house. He rented that one out. He bought a 3rd house, rented that one out, and it worked out well for him for a while. But then it just got to be he got bad tenants. He'd have to be going to court all the time. He'd have to go to the houses to do repairs all the time. And I was helping him out a lot back then, and it turned into an absolute nightmare for him. So, from learning from his experience, I don't think I'd ever want to do that myself. maybe one day. We'll see. When I hit the Mega Millions and have oodles of money that I don't know what to do with, maybe I'll do it then.
Yeah, my dad has always done a fair bit in real estate. He's never really trusted the stock market. He's not done too much in the stock market, but he's always done a lot of real estate, and he's very handy. So he'll buy like a fixer upper between him and his brother, who's a full-time contractor. They do all the work, they fix it up. He actually has some friends who do HVAC. He has friends who do plumbing. He does a little bit of all of it, but then he has friends who specialize in each. So he's done really well over his past few decades doing that. And it's something that like someday maybe I'll get into. Maybe if Pokemon doesn't encompass all my time, maybe if it stops being as lucrative. I'm fairly handy too. I have a lot of similar resources. I mean, I have him as a resource as well. So I could definitely see a future where I get a little bit into real estate, but he's been fairly lucky overall. Like during the pandemic, luckily he didn't have too many people that, I don't know if he had anybody who stopped paying altogether, but there was a moratorium or whatever. There was forgiveness on moratorium on evictions, and there were some landlords who got really hurt by people not having to pay their rent and them not being able to evict them. And so yeah, there could be nightmarish scenarios around that. I had to highlight PokeFlipz's comment. That was a good one.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen eventually.
Next question comes from Wilt Chamberlain. What are your thoughts on the price trajectory of special delivery Charizard? Do you see the bottom hitting soon, or do you see the bottom hitting way later, like special delivery Pikachu?
I'm honestly surprised by the how quickly pricing's dropped on that card. I know now you can find codes for $10 to $15. The cards themselves are still like $50-$60, somewhere in that range. But yeah, I'm really surprised at how quickly and how far pricing has dropped since the initial release. I kind of knew that was to be expected, but as far as like how quickly it happened, that was definitely a surprise to me. But I do think we are towards the bottom of pricing on this card. I would be shocked if it ever got below like $20-$30. Obviously it just depends on how many Pokemon actually prints. Nobody knows that. They could print it into oblivion and it turn into the new Charizard Sword and Shield 50. But I don't think that scenario would ever happen, just because it is a Charizard. How it was released, the artwork on it is really good. So yeah, I do almost think we are towards the bottom of pricing on those cards. I would like to see it drop below 50 before I start buying any. We'll see if that does ever happen. But that's kind of been my price point is right around $50, $50 is when I would start buying a few for myself.
Yeah, I think Rusty bought 200 of them at 50, right? He spent like 10K on them.
Yeah.
He had that one video. Yep. To me,
yep.
I wouldn't be comfortable until closer to that 30 to 40 range, similarly. But it doesn't overly surprise me. I think a month ago, we actually highlighted the portion of our podcast where we talked about this. I could have seen pending supply, pending print run. I could have seen this being $1,000 PSA 10, or I could have seen this being an $80 PSA 10, $50 PSA 10. It all comes down to how many they print. If they literally send out 1 million codes, if they print 1 million of this card, the bottom will be sub 20. The PSA 10 will be around 50, just like Sword Shield 50. Whether the number was 100,000 or 1 million, no idea whatsoever. To me, I had that one that I got myself. I graded it for $150. I sold it for $670, and I was glad to be rid of it. I think some went higher, some went lower, right in the same day or two that mine sold. But I was just happy to take a $400 profit and walk away from it. if and when I can redeploy that $400 profit to get 8 to 10 sealed copies, I probably will. One thing that I'm not actively doing that I really should be doing, like I just ordered the holiday calendars. I order like, you can see, I order like every damn week on Pokemon Center. I should buy 5 or 10 codes, and every time I order, just throw one in there because the codes are only 10. The sealed ones are what, 50 or whatever you said. So I should be making that play at a minimum, but I'm just not. It's a good way to like fill out my sitting cutie Pokédex. I need to do that, but yeah, the bottom. Can't you redeem them until the end of the year?
I have no idea when it's good till.
I feel like the bottom could easily be $20 3 months from now. But the bottom could also be right now at 50, and maybe the codes are done. There's still speculation as to whether or not there's more code waves. I think one went out last week. I haven't heard of one this week. I don't think. But
I
there's still the unknown of whether everyone who got that one email saying they were in the lottery, whether it actually is a lottery or whether everyone's going to get it eventually. No idea. It would be smart of Pokemon to just keep pumping them out throughout the entire duration of the promotion the window that they provided, because it's a promo that costs them 20 cents to print, if not 5 cents to print and seal, and they get a $20 sale out of it. They move $20 of product for every single one. So to me, like, it's a no-brainer for Pokemon to just print it into the ground. And if you print 1 million of them, that's $20 million in sales. If you print 100,000 of them, that's $2 million in sales. I don't know what the gross sales annually, monthly, whatever of PokemonCenter.com are, but this can really bolster the sales numbers. And why not use that free ticket while you've got it? Crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Brandon says bottom likely won't be seen until all codes are sent out, plus some time for those codes to be redeemed. So yeah, I would think the bottom would be in the next few months, but how prolonged will the bottom be too? Will the bottom be 2 months from now and then it lasts for 2 years? Or will it be printed so heavily that the bottom is just like a decade long? It's at $20. Who knows? Really hard to say. Another Instagram follow-up. What are your guys' thoughts on selling Pokemon cards on Instagram at lower than eBay prices or TCG player prices, etc.? I don't know if this was asked before we answered that kind of rant I went on. So just very quickly, to me, like, I don't want to sell for the same price, generally speaking. Like, if I'm selling a card for 100 on eBay, I don't want to sell it for 100 on Instagram, because the logistics of doing everything above board and all the taxes, and because when someone wants to buy off eBay, they don't want to pay, like, they want the whole 12% for them, and they want the whole 8 or 10% or whatever sales tax rate they're paying. They want to save 20% from their end. I see their motivation. My motivation is non-existent. Like, so I just, that's my take. Like, I would rather, some people get really mad too. Like, I've had people reach out to me, hey, this is 100 on here, I'll give you 90 through PayPal. And I said, this is eBay, buy it here. It's really frustrating too. Like, I have the same name. If you wanna, don't ask me if I have an IG. Don't ask me if I'll sell through. Like, find my Instagram. If you're gonna reach out, if you're gonna try to make someone violate eBay terms of service, not do sales tax stuff properly, at least do the courtesy of like searching their name on Instagram and reaching out to them first. It's so frustrating. But then I'm like, hey, this is eBay. It's here for 100. Buy it or don't buy it. I don't care. And then they find me on Instagram and they DM me, oh man, if I give you 100 there, you're only getting 87, and plus I'm paying 108 because I gotta pay sales tax. And I'm like, I don't care. I would pay $13 to not talk to you. Go buy it on eBay. Like, that's what it comes down to. Because there's, when you say, and then if you come to me, like, if you try to leave a little bit for me, like, hey, can I pay 90 so that you saved $3? And I don't want to do all that extra work to save $3. I just don't. Again, it's not above board as far as sales taxes goes. I got to go into a different program to create a label and ship it. It's just not attractive whatsoever.
Mhm.
That's where I stand. Very anti, like, just buy my stuff on eBay. If it's on eBay, buy it on eBay. Or at
Yeah, I
least
pretty much agree with you.
Yeah, or at least reach out in a more direct, attractive way. Make some positive for me on my side of it, and then maybe like it's more work and it's less legal, I guess. uh,
Oh man. Yeah, I
um,
would pretty much agree with all that.
yeah,
I like that being rant.
yeah. Certain things really get me going, and that's one of them. If anyone knows where a Snap Gyarados is, Reeks is paying a 2K finder's fee. Jake Smith says Max Mofo has one. He'll take his 2K in Bitcoin.
Reeks, there you go. There you go.
Stephen Lee
I
on the
don't.
MetaZoo bandwagon now, buying some packs.
Ugh, get out of here.
Uh, yeah, and Secret Shop Cars says I made a sale on Instagram and it was really pleasant. I've made sales. I've made purchases on Instagram too. It's all about how too many times I've had the entitled buyer approach me. Like the most lazy entitled thing you can do is message someone on eBay. What's the absolute lowest you'll take? My Instagram is this. Like, I'm going to go out of my way to DM you so that I can have the honor of passing the entire discount on to you. I see that multiple times weekly. So, like, context for why I'm so ranty about the whole situation, multiple times a week, I have an eBay message. DM me on Instagram. I want this card. And I know the story. I know the whole song and dance. What's the absolute lowest you'll take? I want to not pay sales tax while also not paying you're not paying fees, so I'm going to take all that money you're not paying in fees. And then bonus points if they want an international shipment with a $5 declaration and they want to pay goods and services and they want like I'm in Italy and I want that $5,000 card declared as a $5 gift so that in a month I can charge it back. No thanks. No thanks. That's been my experience, my anecdotal negative experiences with Instagram sales that don't turn into sales. So yeah, that's why I'm fairly negative on it overall. And most businesses operating Instagram businesses and things like that, regulatory as far as all that goes, they're not doing things the right way. Oftentimes tax evasion, illegal things go like I don't want I want to run a proper business above board in all the aspects that I can be. So yeah, I love eBay. eBay, sponsor me, hit me up. Come on. I'm shouting your praises.
Oh man.
uh, the old card shop. Thoughts on Lost Origin not getting a second or third wave and all the allocation being put out right at the start? Do you think it will have negative or positive effects on the booster prices? What are your thoughts?
I am so glad that they got rid of the whole wave system. That was beyond infuriating, especially for smaller-ish accounts like myself. I typically like to open product to sell the singles. And when Pokemon was doing the whole wave system, I would get roughly the same amount of booster boxes. So say like 24 boxes. But it was broken up into 2 waves. So I'd get 12 boxes for the actual release and then 12 boxes for like a month or 2 after the release. And in order to actually make money on opening modern product to sell singles, you have to be first to market. So you have to be selling everything the weekend of release. Your code cards have to be sold before the release to maximize the money that you're making off of that stuff. So it just wasn't possible for me to do anything with those, whatever, 12 booster boxes that I was getting a month or two after release, because by then all your singles pricing had plummeted. Booster boxes were kind of hovering around wherever they hovered. So I'm personally very glad they got rid of the whole wave system and just started shipping everything in the kind of the release wave, or the release date. As far as it affecting the market in a positive or negative way, I don't think we'll see any. I don't think we'll see much repercussions from that. I think it'll be more just like business as usual. If something, so like if another Evolving Skies comes out where there's an absurd amount of demand and pricing absolutely skyrockets out of the gate on booster boxes, Pokemon's just going to do a reprint of that set and kind of bring more supply to the market. So we will still get kind of like waves, but it'll just be another reprint or restock or whatever. So I don't think it will have much of an effect on booster box pricing, booster pack pricing, or anything like that.
I think on a short-term, very day-to-day basis, it could, though, because when you're getting it all up front, generally speaking, businesses in this sector are pretty low margin, pretty cash poor. So when they're getting their whole allocation up front, they're extra cash poor, right? Because what they had gotten over a few months span in the past, now they're getting all at once. They want to flip it all, get rid of it all at once. So the price might be artificially slightly lower right out of the gate. And then if and when the set is hype, if and when orders are really, really high, like reprints are slow. If and when we get into that situation, there could almost be a 3 to 4 to 6 month span of like really stonky pricing. I'm not forecasting that. I have no idea. But yeah, like theoretically, if it's super stonky, everyone loves it, people want to keep ripping it, I could see a scenario where stores start selling out, prices start ratcheting up a little bit here and there, and then you have a booster box that within 6 months or a year of release, it's $180 because the reprint hasn't been announced, hasn't hit yet. And it's a consideration that I take. Like, I'm not a brick and mortar. I don't have people coming to me to play the game. I don't have to sell it right out of the gate at MSRP or below. So I'm probably going to hold all mine for like a few weeks, see how things are going, and make kind of a speculative play that almost might happen. So I might hang on to mine for 1 to 3 months. If and when it starts going up, I might hold a little bit tighter even. Obviously, if it's going to be selling in 6 months for 150, I'd much rather sell in 6 months for 150 than today for 100 or whatever it goes for. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. I don't keep too close of an eye on it. Evolving Skies, I played in hindsight slightly wrong because I sold too much of it too quick. I was very happy to sell it at 150, so I sold like all of it. And then when the reprint was coming, I sold a bunch more because I thought, okay, the reprint's going to be huge. I figured we were going to have like 120 or sub 120 pricing on eBay. We never saw that. So I'm down in a spot where I have like 28 boxes left, wishing I had 98, and I was selling them all at $180 a piece or $190 a piece instead of the 120 to 150 I sold them at. It's at the end of the day, It's not like a huge thing. I still made out really well selling what I sold them at. But in hindsight, it's like I could have made a few extra grand had I transacted perfectly with Evolving Skies. But you're never going to do that. You can't get hung up on it. You add that into your mental database and you try to learn from it, and then you move ahead with that. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the prices. J Ray says sells all his 99% of his cards on Instagram, but he likes the answer. So I know some people who have big businesses doing stuff on Instagram, and it's great for them and they make a living doing it. It's just not for me at the end of the day. And some people, like, there are ways to do all of it above board, all the regulatory sales tax, and some of them may be doing it, but I have my thoughts that most people probably aren't. Taxes are a weird thing that like it's so cumbersome to do it all perfect, and almost no one is. It's a spectrum of how to the letter you're following it. None of that being tax advice. Do you know playmats? Can you just throw them in the washer, dryer?
I have no idea. I feel like you could wash them, but throwing them in the dryer, I'm not sure about. I feel like they would melt.
Yeah, I would definitely air dry, whether I went in the washing machine or not. I mean, I have certain playmats that I have like 12 of them. So I would just start with a cheap one you don't care about as much. I guess report back to us on next PokeFlipz how you made out with that if you go for it. But I genuinely don't know. I guess Queen Elizabeth passed away, so rest in peace. UAP wanted to rest in peace for her.
When did this happen? I feel like I would have seen it.
26 minutes ago.
Facebook.
It happened while we were live.
Okay.
Peeked at You asks, have you ever purchased / made an offer on a full collection, roughly sight unseen, other than a few high-end items? I'm imagining something like John Brooks' collection.
Nothing like that. But it happens a lot more on like nothing like super high end like that, but $5, $10, $15,000 collections. I'm bad about trusting people with conditions. So I'll do that frequently, semi-frequently, and for the most part it works out. Sometimes the person selling the stuff doesn't know how to grade cards, so the condition's a little bit less, but I'm also buying stuff at price points where I'm fairly certain that I'm going to be able to make money even if the condition is a little bit less. So my profit might be a little bit lower in those cases, but it's just so much easier. And where you can constantly find these collections on Facebook, Instagram, eBay, wherever, you can't be spending hours upon hours looking through every single card to get the condition of it, because you don't know if a deal is even going to happen. So if you spend all this time researching pricing, looking at the conditions, all of that stuff, and then you make an offer and the guy says, oh, that's way too low, you just wasted all of that time. So for me, it's better to be concise. Obviously, first edition Charizards, you're going to want front and back pictures of that. But for like the bulky WotC hollows, I always just ask, what do you think the average condition of those cards is? Is it near mint? Is it light played? Are they damaged? And then base my offer around that. And then if there's any like higher end cards, like I said there with the Charizard, yeah, take a few pictures of that card to kind of gauge. So I'll always say, can I see pictures of this card? What do you think the condition is? And for me, that's doing two things. I'm looking at pictures of the higher end cards to kind of just determine the condition myself. And then I'm also seeing how accurate the seller's grading standards are. So if they're calling something near mint that's heavily damaged, I know now that the rest of the cards in that collection probably aren't going to be near mint, like you said. But yeah, the biggest thing, like I said, is just time. Can't be spending all this time on each individual collection, just because right now there's so many opportunities out there if you're looking to buy stuff.
That's a huge point too you hit on, as far as getting a feel, because I've bought excellent collections where I graded many PSA 10s. They used the adjective excellent in the way that any random person, like, oh, that my car is in excellent condition, I just bought it 6 months ago, it's brand new. My car is in gem mint condition because it's brand new. They just don't have the card terminology, right? So gauging how a seller is conditioning their cards, that's a huge little nugget there that Nick provided. Definitely something that I've done just without even really thinking about it too much. And Nick put it into words. Very, very valuable. I have a handful of times. I've referenced some of the collections that I bought. Like I bought the $30,000 or $40,000, however much it was, pre-boom. PSA 9 Gold Stars, PSA 9 EXs, just tons of packs. A guy drove a full size, not like a minivan, like a van, not a U-Haul, but a van, a proper Mercedes van from Canada to my house. And I still have totes and boxes kicking around that, I mean, some of them are like empty binders, some of them are full binders. So many cards from that collection. One thing that I employ, generally speaking, I mean, the answer that comes up again, the more money you can have to go into making a business, the better you're going to be. The less you can pay on a collection, the more you stand to profit. Very easy thing to say and understand. So if you're able to, like, if you see 10 grand and you can get the whole collection for 10 grand and you know there's more, that's easy. That's cake. You do it and it's done. But there have been times where I only see 10 grand and I have very vague descriptors on what else is there, and I've paid 12 or I've paid 15, taking a bit of a gamble. One thing that I employ a bit is like the Pareto principle. Very, very rough, but 20% of the items in the collection will have 80% of the value. That's Pareto principle. A lot of people are probably familiar with it, some maybe not, but 20% of your customers lead to 80% of the problems. 20% of your customers also lead to 80% of the gross or net revenue. But 20% of the items, so if I can see 1/5 of the collection, a sample size roughly of 1/5 of the collection, or like the higher end, the 1/5 highest items, I can roughly, very, very, very roughly, it's obviously not going to be 80% of the value guarantee, but I can kind of extrapolate from there. Okay, I see 10 grand. I have very vague descriptors on how much extra's there. I feel like if I'm seeing 10, there's 15 there, so I'll pay 12. Or what it is, it's all pending liquidity, pending the items. Very, very complex thing to figure out what you're going to pay for a collection, but there's just some of the considerations. And I've done it. I can think of like 3 distinct massive collections that I've bought. I'm talking 5 figures in 2016 to 2018 pricing terms. So 5-figure collections then were pretty good size, at least for me. So yeah, I've done it a few times and it's worked out very well every time. These days though, it's tougher. They're fewer and far in between, and most people are really asking like 2020 prices still today, in my experiences. Alvin's Gallery says alt arts from Sword and Shield are way better than WotC. Prove me wrong. I think art is very subjective, but you're very likely correct for the vast majority of people. But one thing I'll say, WotC is WotC. WotC is first. WotC will always be first. 10 years from now, Scarlet and Violet will have happened. Another era will have happened. There will be better arts in 10 years than we're currently seeing in Sword and Shield alt arts. So Sword and Shield will be not the best arts anymore. WotC will still be WotC. WotC will still be first. So there's my retort. Yeah, you're right, but you're right. But 10 years from now, Sword and Shield's gonna lose what it have, but WotC won't lose what it has. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The only other thing I'd add to that is the whole nostalgia factor. Obviously, the alt arts in Sword and Shield are really good, but nothing, no matter what Pokemon ever does, will compare to WotC. Just because that's what I'm nostalgic to. That's what we all grew up with. So for me, that'll always be the best era of Pokemon.
And to be fair, like a lot of people's first interactions is in the Sword and Shield era. The boom happened. A lot of people might return. They might leave the hobby in a couple years. They might have left already. They might return in 10 or 20 years. And the first set they might come back to is Sword and Shield because that's what got them back into it. Or they're young today and they're in their 20s and 30s. Then the same nostalgia you have for WotC, they will have for Sword and Shield. But the thing is, like, WotC will always be WotC. It will always be the first one. So that's what that has going for it. Both periods have massive, massive print runs, massive. The two highest print run eras in the entire hobby, base through rocket and then sword and shield. Like absolute evolutions being one that can be thrown in there too. But yeah, the history is lacking on sword and shield. And another thing is the attrition. If WotC came out, if Pokemon was launched in 2020, what do you think the population of base unlimited Charizard would be? It's high now, but it would be like it's high now and it's across the entire spectrum of PSA 1 to 10. How many PSA 10 base unlimited Charizards? Like print run quality was rough, but there was also a ton of attrition. The pop on that thing would be astronomical if base unlimited came out today in this environment. Unfathomable. Ugh. What is the next special delivery card Pokemon milks for a boost in Pokemon Center sales? Reeks is pulling for special delivery Snorlax or Magikarp. I'd say Dragonite. You've got in the anime, you've got in the movies where Dragonite is like a mail carrier, right? So like the history is there, the tie-in is there. I think we've talked about that before.
I don't know if we have talked about another special delivery type card.
Maybe not so directly, but I feel like we've talked about the fact that Dragonite, or again, I consume and make so much content. Maybe I just heard someone else say it.
I'm gonna go with a Gengar. Gengar would be really cool, I think.
I like Gengar. I'm up for that. UAP asks, can he increase the value of a special delivery Charizard with an Arita signature?
Probably, I would say so. I think you can increase the value of any card with a signature. Just because there really aren't that many signatures out there in Pokemon compared to like sports or something like that, where you can find signatures that are absolutely worthless because they're everywhere. So I think any card would increase in value with a signature.
Yeah, I think you increase the value, but you decrease the liquidity. Liquidity is a function of value oftentimes. Like certain people are not going to buy it now. Like certain people are only going to buy it. I guess to be fair, you expand your buyer pool to some extent for people that only care about it with a Rita signature. But there's also a lot of people that don't care about signatures at all. They want special delivery Charizard. They're not going to pay a premium for it. I would be one of them that's not going to pay a premium for an Arita signature. So I think you increase the value, but you decrease the liquidity to some extent. Dark Lava Lizard agrees. The nickel and dimers on IG are a disease. I'm with Dan on this one. It's way more attractive for a seller just to complete the deal on eBay. Further into that too, just continuing beating the dead horse. I have aspirations that one day I can hopefully get like my eBay grown so large that I have a contracted lower final value fee rate. That's one big thing too. Like if you reach out to Rusty especially, I think he'd maybe share it in a more politically correct way, or he'd not get so ranty about it as I do. But if you reach out to a guy like that, or if you reach out to a guy like Probstein just does auctions primarily anyways, but there are guys out there, there are companies out there with way less than 13% fees. So if you reach out to them, how ridiculous it is to me, like I don't care to come down at all to go off platform, they care even less because there are guys paying 5% final value fees. There are guys paying less than 5% final value fees. So I want to get there one day. So every dollar I keep on eBay increases my value to them. It increases my account history with them. And yeah, one day, like if and when I could ever do that, so many doors open, so many opportunities unlock themselves. If Nick, imagine tomorrow eBay emails you, hey, we value you so much, your volume is so high, your new final value fee is 5%. What does that do to your consignments? What does that do to your ultra modern booster? Everything. It's massive. Like it would be so massive.
Yep.
You can lower your consignment fee and you can make more money. So like you can increase your competitiveness against your competitors, but you can also pocket more money. Yeah, it's crazy. The opportunity to do that. So, Brad, none of this was an attack on you. The Zard Hunter says, I've hit both of these dudes up on IG for deals through PayPal. I feel attacked. Brad's a good guy. The Zard Hunter on he's what is he? Brad G Cards on Instagram? Or is he?
Yeah, Brad G, I think.
BG Cards or Brad G Cards. He does it the right way. Again, there's a right way and there's a wrong way. It's not what's the absolute lowest you'll take. Hey, I see you got it listed for 100. Let's do like 80 because you saved the fees. So yeah, there's a right way and a wrong way. So, another update too. Robert actually says he just got codes today. Special delivery Charizard. So they're not done coming out.
That's good to know.
That is very good to know.
I'm still waiting on my code. Still haven't gotten it.
My mom got hers, but I didn't get mine. So hopefully I'll get mine soon.
So I hope you gave that money from the sale of her card to her.
She'll get a slightly nicer Christmas present or something. We'll see. Lost Origin is also fully sold out on Pokemon Center. That's probably largely to do with a new wave of special delivery Charizard codes. Ooh, here's an interesting one. David Asplund asks, which is your favorite evil team in the Pokemon world that you would like to be a part of? Follow-up, is that the same team you would like to see turned into cards, like the Rocket 20th celebration?
Ooh. I would love to see another Team Rocket set. I think that would be really cool.
Is that so? Team Rocket would be your answer just for nostalgia, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would go with that one.
I'm familiar with like Team Skull, Team Aqua, Team Magma. I can't name you the teams. I can't name the evil people from every generation.
I couldn't name you any more than those three.
Team Plasma. Team Plasma's there. I just searched it on Bulbapedia. Team Galactic. I never would have. Team Plasma makes sense because of like the Plasma sets in black and white, I'm assuming. Team Flare. Actually, Team Flare Grunt. Team Rainbow Rocket and Team Yell. I never even heard of those. But yeah, my answer would just be Team Rocket for nostalgic reasons. The only ones that I named off the cuff were Aqua, Magma, and then Skull. Because I have the PSA 9 Pikachu Skull Team Skull one.
There's a coin?
No. I said the Team Skull one, the card.
Oh, I think it said coin. Okay.
No. Secret Shop Cards said they spot clean old Magic playmats by pressing it with dripping wet paper towels and just let it dry by itself. Cole asks, can we see a No Shave November that you both take part of with beard updates on the podcast until the end? Poll on whose is better and loser has to give away a slab. That would only be 2 podcast episodes though.
That's true. We'd have to switch to every week if we did that.
I might not shave between now and then, so I might already have like a head start. Like I talked about this in a live last week, or I forget exactly when, but I'm just lazy when it comes to that. Like I used to shave. I had to shave for my job a few times a week because I would wear a respirator at work. And it had to seal like against your face, so you couldn't have hair there. So now that I'm no longer a chemical engineer, no longer wearing a respirator, what I had been doing was just shaving once a weekend. Like I would just shave every Sunday. And then there was a time where I forgot, and then the next, like 3 weeks ago I forgot, or 2 weeks ago I forgot. And then the next weekend I'm just like, maybe I'll just try growing a beard because that's like less maintenance, less upkeep. optimizing for my free time. So we'll see. If it gets to be bothersome, I'll shave it off. But for now, I'm just gonna run it and see what happens.
Yeah, no, I need to shave every couple weeks at most. It just bothers me too much if I don't. Starts getting annoying.
Just gets itchy or whatever.
Yeah.
Ooh, special delivery Quaxley. I like that.
Oh.
We're actually just about caught up in. We are caught up in chat. I'm taking Dark Lava Lizard's question right now. So if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments. We're gonna go till 4, right? So another 50 minutes.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
We're not gonna go right till 4:30 today. We're gonna go till 4 today. So another 50 minutes. Leave your comments below if you wanted to take the question that's up right now.
Well, PSA getting turnaround times back to what they've stated they want, 3 months for bulk, be the catalyst to get the market jump-started again, as people will be able to finally free up capital. Or will it cause prices to lower even more due to increased supply? That was the second comment. I think it's more of that. Pricing decreasing a little bit on for the most part. It'll be nice once PSA does caught up and people are able to submit cards on a more regular basis at a more bulk type price, hopefully $10 to $12, somewhere in that range. Because for me it'll give me more inventory to sell, but on the flip side of that, that's going to be the case with everyone. Everyone's going to be submitting more and more cards, so the supply is going to increase further and further, and pricing will probably decrease if I had to say so. I don't think like a lot of like first edition commons, uncommons are like $20, $30, somewhere in that range. I don't think those cards would be very much affected, but like your Eevees, Pikachus up at $100, $200, somewhere in that range. Those cards will 100% absolutely be affected. Your modern cards, outside of like the Moonbryon, the alt arts, stuff like that, those cards will absolutely be affected and lower in price too. But I think it'll be better overall. From a selfish perspective, just because I want to be able to submit more cards to have more graded inventory to actually sell.
Yeah, I very much I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think the bad stuff, the stuff that's selling for way too much given what it is, will go down, because if it's a $3 card raw and it's selling for $100 and you can turn it around in 3 months, you're going to submit it, right? Like if there's a play there, people are going to make the play until the play is no longer there. So the bad cards that should come down will, and I think it will. Yeah. It'll be like a two-part answer. One answer doesn't satisfy it, because the truly good things, there are certain things out there that we're not sure. How high will the pops go? Will the pops go high? And as we start to see over the next 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, if we start seeing pops that people think are going to run up, not running up, those ones the prices will start to tick back up, right? So the pops that shoot up, the margins that get erased away will be going down, but the better things, the things that there just aren't tons of mint copies out there, those will really stand out more, and they will be able to separate themselves from the chaff. And yeah, so good will go up, bad will go down, is my general answer.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Brad wants to know what we're bringing to Denver. Sorry, Brad, I'm not bringing that PSA 3 Charizard that's no longer a PSA 3 Charizard because I cracked it out. I might, though. I might bring, maybe I'll pick up another Charizard between now and then, but I'll definitely have screen promos. I'll definitely have a little bit of Metazoo. some CGC Perfect Metazoos maybe. I'll have heavy packs. Nick and I will probably be competing with each other with the same heavy packs.
Mine are gonna be a
I'm not gonna bring a ton though. Like I'm not overly concerned with selling is not the main focus. As I said last night, networking. Networking is the formal terminology for it. IRS approved business trip. Hanging out though, hanging out, having a good time, meeting new people is my main focus. Yep. Selling and buying are secondary. So we're doing like a whole section. Nick booked a whole section and we're like buying tables out from him. And there's going to be a ton of people there hanging out in the section. If other people who've never sold before, who brought a bunch, who are trying to fund their trip, trying to pay off the credit cards they charge the flights or the hotels on, I'm perfectly fine giving up space. Like if I can't even put stuff into a case, that's fine by me. I'm going to be leaving. I might not even go Sunday. I might be leaving. Like the latest I can stay on Sunday is like noon because I have to go catch my flight back home. So if I don't even set up Sunday altogether, that's fine to me. But yeah, screen promos, some kind of Charizards, I'm sure. Maybe I'll have some sealed special delivery Charizards that I get between now and then to just sell sealed. We'll see what I throw together when the time comes.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. I got to just see what I have at that point. It'll definitely be heavy packs, like you said. I will bring some light packs again too, because I did fairly well with those in Long Beach. But then I'll definitely be bringing pins this time. I didn't bring those for Long Beach, and I had a ton of people asking about them. So I'll definitely bring some pins. I'll bring some No Damage Ninetales to put out on display, because again, had a bunch of people asking about those. Didn't have those for Long Beach. And then modern booster packs will actually be another big one for me. Those did really, really well in Long Beach. You don't make much money off of them, but I was selling those like crazy in Long Beach with the pricing that I had. So I'll definitely bring those. And then mainly graded cards, aside from that.
Let's dissect. So what packs were you selling and for how much?
I was doing Brilliant Stars and Evolving Skies at 5 apiece. And then Battle Styles through Astral Radiance at 3 apiece.
You were getting 108.
So 50 cents a pack on the 3 apiece, and then like what is it, 250 a pack on Brilliant Stars and Evolving Skies.
But $250 a pack isn't how much you're making more than you could have just made selling them on eBay, right? Like you're talking about what you paid.
No, because you're selling packs on eBay for $5 a piece minus shipping. So those ones were definitely worth it. The $3 a piece ones, I could have probably made about the same, a little bit less, on TCG Player.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't want to bring stuff 2,000 miles to sell it for 50 cents profit an item. I guess you like shipped stuff though. You had more space than I'll have. I'm not doing a carry-on or anything.
Yeah, see, all that stuff just goes into a, like, for Long Beach, I had a bunch of it, so I shipped it to James, who brought it to the, who brought it to the convention center. For Denver, where I only have the 2 cases, the 1 table, all the modern packs, I'll just chuck into a checked bag.
Yeah, because, like, I guess it's just a different scenario. Like, I'm going with a personal item for my clothes and my cards. I have very, very limited space. And the prospects of putting, like, a booster box, the prospects of putting that in my limited real estate is just so unattractive. Because, especially if you sell all 36 packs, that's an $18 profit. In the same volume, I could fit 10 or 12 slabs, if not more, that I could make $20 a piece on, or $200 a piece on, depending on what I bring. That's what it comes down to for me. Like, I just...
No, you you put all the slabs in the cases, and then the box is right on top of the case. So it's not taking up any additional real estate.
But you could put, if you're putting a box there, you could put more slabs there, right?
I don't like the idea of putting
You don't like them on the outside. Yeah, that is true. So Reeks asks us, what's a game or IP do you wish had a TCG or CCG that would make you empty your wallet? Disney's recent announcement of a TCG had me thinking Super Smash Bros. TCG or League of Legends for me would hit. Old school RuneScape. Give me an old school RuneScape TCG. That would be hilarious. For me, like I've talked about it many times, but back in the day, my nostalgia is like in Pokemon. I did not do Yu-Gi-Oh! I did not do Magic. My interests beyond Pokemon were like sports, and sports cards obviously exist. Other interests, like I don't watch animes really. I'm into, like, I love the Harry Potter books and movies. There's already a card game for that. I guess there's probably shows that I'm not really thinking about, or maybe there's something that I think a lot of shows though back in the day did get card games. Like, I mean, there's a Simpsons card game, and there's, so I don't, nothing really even comes to mind. I guess Disney would be, like, I like Disney movies. My wife really likes them a lot. My kids like Disney movies, so maybe that's one that I'll get into. But as far as like what else could I think of? Old school RuneScape is like one that honestly comes to mind first. Aside from that, like I don't even know what else it would be. Chemical engineering trading card game.
Chemical engineering.
Give me the periodic table of elements trading card game. give me like thermodynamics and like differential equations, and just give me like math and science concepts in a card game. I don't know.
You live exciting life there.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't know about that one. I'm like you, just really into Pokemon. As far as cards go, I really don't do anything with cards outside of Pokemon. I do a tiny little bit of MetaZoo, doing just one booster box of each set, but aside from that, I really don't do anything else with cards except for Pokemon. So I don't know if I really would get into any other cards. Yeah, I don't. The Disney one does sound cool. I'll probably get into that a little bit, at least when it actually comes out, just because it does sound cool. But if I had to come up with an idea, I'd have no idea.
If it's available to me wholesale through my distributors as an online retailer, I might like make it some percentage, some small percentage, some portion of my business. If it's something that I'll have to fight bots, if it's something I'll have to pay market pricing on eBay, I'm largely not going to touch it. I learned that to an extent with MetaZoo. I transacted and I played in it pre being a partner. I guess the partnership only happened because I was making content and because I was involved in the community, involved in the space. So the partnership wouldn't have happened without the plays I was making just as a consumer at market price. But in hindsight, like, yeah, some of the things that I was buying at full blown market price were not the greatest plays, and buying things wholesale is just inherently so much less risky, and that's I'm turning so much more of my business towards that.
Yep.
Josh Jenkins said, so I had Vistaprint make me 1,000 business cards that I pass around locally when I go to garage sales and estate sales. Did you guys go around passing out business cards when you first started? So historically speaking, I've not had business cards. I think the first order of them was like a year ago. I think a few months into being full-time and getting the S Corporation, naming everything Catch 'em All Collectibles, I made my first business cards about a year or so ago, and I put them in every eBay order. I have them at conventions. I'll have a stack of them on the table in Denver for anyone who wants to take them. I think it's great to just get your name out there, get your contact information out there. But I didn't do it like long ago. My wife said something like you go into the post office and there's a board. You go into some local restaurants, you go into some local places, and there's like a cork board where you can just pin your business cards to. A lot of them are like snow plowing services, lawn mowing services, mechanics, things like that. My wife's like, "Oh, you should just bring 10 or 20 of them and like bring a box of 500 of them. Go around town, go around." And I'm like, "I don't know. Same reason. Like I would rather sell on eBay to someone who lives down the street than like drive down the street or have them drive here or meet at the gas station. Like that's just not attractive to me. I don't want that kind of business. What about you?
I didn't do it. I never did it for the selling aspect, but buying, I used to do that a lot. My dad ran a coin shop, so he was always kind of like the retail side. So I got business cards early on because of him suggesting that I do to put them in all of my eBay orders. But then when I was going to yard sales, flea markets, and I came across a decent Pokemon collection that I purchased, I would give them a business card and say, "Hey, I buy sell cards. If you ever come across any more, just feel free to let me know." It worked out every once in a while. Really didn't have too much success with it. The other thing I would do is I had one LGS near in my town that used to be into Pokemon, but then they got out of it. Like this is going way back to like the early 2000s is when they got out of it. And because they were out of Pokemon, they'd have people come into their store asking if they bought Pokemon cards, and they'd always just turn them down because they weren't into Pokemon anymore. So I used to buy a lot of their like backstock Pokemon stuff from them. And so one time I went in and said, "Hey, if you guys ever have any people with Pokemon cards come in, would you mind giving them one of my business cards and having them reach out to me? If there's any if we end up working out a deal on a good collection or whatever, I'll toss you guys a couple bucks, whatnot." And they said sure. So I gave them a stack of my business cards. Again, limited success with that. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It helps spread the word that you have a business, both from like a buying perspective and a selling perspective.
Oh, and then there's a follow-up too. And if so, how long did it take to start really gaining traction? It's hard to say how much of my contacts come from the business cards. There's definitely been some relationships that have been made where I sell to someone on eBay, they get my business card, all the ranting and rambling I did about not liking to be contacted on Instagram. There's been some relationships that I've made, some of them being business to business. So if I sell to another business, if I sell to Nick through PayPal, there's no implications when it comes to sales tax because he's not. That's why it's better for people to be doing this above board, be doing it by the books. Because if I'm selling to you through PayPal and you are buying it for resale and you have the proper licensing and you don't pay sales tax, I'm not doing anything wrong by not charging you sales tax. So I have some relationships with people who are also resellers. I sell to them directly now because they bought something on eBay. They got my card. How many of those? It's very hard to track. I don't ask everybody who messages me like, "Hey, where did you find out about me?" Some businesses do though. I mean, you see those surveys different places. Where did you hear about us? That's why they do it, because they want to see how effective their various advertising was. I mean, there are businesses local to me. You go to a restaurant, you sit down, you eat. Survey at the end, like, where did you hear about us? Facebook, the radio, business card, whatever, word of mouth. Like, I don't get that in depth on where my things are coming from. So it's something that theoretically maybe I should be doing to some extent, but I just don't.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I do not keep track of that. And with eBay, it's I recognize a few people who purchase from me regularly on eBay. It definitely helps now that they have like that repeat buyer.
Yep.
Yeah. But for the most part, I don't recognize many usernames on eBay. Obviously, it definitely helps if like you communicate and have conversations with that buyer, but when they're just buying and there's no email communication or anything like that, it's tough to remember who's like a repeat customer and who's just coming along for the first time.
You want to take Mr. Walrus's question?
Mr. Walrus, at what point do you slow down sales when you've hit sales milestones to keep inventory levels? Um, I've never I've never done well, I've never really purposely slowed down sales. There are times where I'll stop running or like I won't send buyers offers. So like normally, I know you do this as well. Send 10-20% offers to buyers every week or two. Running auctions. There's times where I'll stop doing that just because for mainly for me, it's not because I want to slow down sale. Well, I guess it is because I want to slow down sales, but it's because I want to slow down sales to slow down shipping. Not have as many orders to ship out, which is a good problem to have. But I've never really slowed down sales to keep keep a certain inventory level. I'd rather get rid of as much as I can right now. And that's kind of a problem that I've had for a long time.
Yeah. I've never intentionally I've never intentionally slowed down sales. The only way would be like directly. It would only have been indirectly. If I'm super cash rich, if cash flow is like really, if I'm really liquid, I'm not motivated to send those 20% offers or 10% offers. I'm not motivated to send a coupon. But so only indirectly would I ever have consciously slowed down sales. Because what I would try to do is I would try to go out and acquire more inventory. If I've hit really high sales milestones and I'm running out of stuff to sell, I'm gonna go buy more so that I can keep selling. Constantly. I mean, at some point if you run into you don't have the time to source enough inventory and your inventory is always running on fumes, you're selling stuff too cheap. Sell stuff slightly higher priced so that you can maintain some amount of inventory. If you have a fixed amount of time, you want to maximize the hourly wage. You want to if you can only process 100 items a month, you want to maximize the ROI of each of those items because you only have a limited amount of time. And don't blow them out. Don't sell them out so that you're done and sold out a week into the month, and then just not have like price them accordingly so that it's a tough ongoing optimization problem to manage an inventory. But you just got to do the best you can. Your average player asks, what do you guys think about Burning Shadows PSA 10 pops? Seems low, but the ROI is there. Any thoughts? I've never been a pop guy. I do a little bit of work on it just because a lot of people seem to be, and a lot of people seem to be interested in it. So I do some work on it for like Pokenomics Patreon. But I do not invest long-term in cardboard, really. I am not buying, this is undervalued, this is low pop, I think this is going to go up in 10 years. The way that I transact is flipping. I can buy this for X% of market. I can sell it for market. That's my game. That's what I do. To some very minor extent, I've accidentally speculated and invested long-term in items because I buy way too much and I can't physically sell it all. So I've lucked out in many ways over the years just having so much inventory. But I very, very rarely intentionally held items long-term or an investment or a speculative play.
Yeah, I couldn't add anything to that question. I don't follow pops either, and especially with Burning Shadows, I couldn't tell you anything about that.
I couldn't have any less interest in the pops of those cards or playing on them. Like if and when I ever got a collection offered to me, I guess I'd learn a little bit about it. But yeah, like Burning Shadows, cool. There's the Charizard. There's some decent sets but I can't buy it from my distributor. I just genuinely don't really. Not much of my business is focused around sets that are a few years old that I can no longer get from distributors. It's largely focused where I think two of the most sustainable long-term portions of demand are ultra modern, and I'm not saying ultra modern like fixed in Sword and Shield. Ultra modern today is Sword and Shield Lost Origins. Ultra modern in 3 years is Scarlet Violet, whatever the newest set is. So when I say ultra modern, that's a moving target. That's a dynamic area. And then the second most thing that I'm focused in, out of nostalgia and out of demand, is WotC. Those are always going to be my two main areas of business. I do some stuff in between, but like not much. And yeah, that's just where I'm at as a business.
Yep.
Well, if a Pokemon war broke out, would you rather have Professor Oak with his knowledge, Giovanni with his Pokemon, or a level 99 unevolved Magikarp on your team? I'm taking the Magikarp because what kind of a madman would have a level 99 unevolved Magikarp? And if people see that I have that, they won't want to mess with me. So that's my answer.
That's true. That's true. I'd probably go with Giovanni just because he's got some badass Pokemon that could definitely defeat a puny little Magikarp.
You would be afraid though. What kind of a lunatic has a 99 level unevolved Magikarp? I'm not going to screw with him because I don't know what else he has. Clearly he doesn't have sanity, so I'm not going to touch him.
Oh, man.
You want to take the next question from Jonathan?
Jonathan, would you use a slabbing service like PSA, Beckett, CGC, etc., but without the grading on the slab? So the card would be encased in plastic without any grades or the company's label on it. So are they just authenticating it, or are they just putting it in a piece of plastic? Even if they are authenticating it, like what PSA does, I really don't like that service. I can see it as like a seller who's the person selling the card. If it's going to get a really low grade, you might just want to go the authentic route because some buyers might pay more for that card if they don't know that it's actually a PSA 1 condition. But as a buyer, I really hate the authentic grades. I'd rather see that it's a PSA 1, PSA 2 versus I wonder what this card's going to grade. And then if you're just talking about a service that just puts the card in plastic, I would just use like the magnetic one touches. So I don't think a service like that would do very well. I would personally never use it if it was just authenticating the cards or if it was just putting them in plastic.
Yeah, I mean, you could buy a Sonic. You could buy a Sonic welder for $500 and just do it yourself if it was literally just encapsulating plastic.
Yeah.
So same answer for me.
I'm sure there could be a business model around that though. I'm sure there'd be people who would do that. There's some crazy people.
Crazy, but some people are crazy. Dark Lava Lizard wants to know if you ever sold a no damage Ninetales.
I have not. No, I did actually sell one. It was one that I got on consignment, and at the time it was a PSA 8, and at the time I had just bought a big collection, so I really didn't want to buy it myself. So I ended up listing it as a buy it now consignment for someone, and it was actually interesting. I did want to buy it for my own collection, but at the same time, I also wanted to see how much I'd be able to get for it and how quickly it would sell. Just because it was during a time where we really didn't see any listings or sales of a no damage Ninetales in good condition. So I listed it for, I think we listed it for $3,000 or best offer. Got an offer of $2,800 within like hours of listing it, and sold it at that price. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. But looking back, I would have liked to buy it because we really don't see very many higher grade copies come up for sale. Those are tough to find.
Josh, again, shout out to Green Shiz Collectibles. He's going to be on in 2 weeks, pre-recorded. So ask your questions in the comments of this video when it gets posted, not in the live. But top 2 non-legendary or starters. So non-legendary, non-starter from Kanto. I think it's so hard to pick like top X amount, but 2 of my top 5, top 10 would probably be Haunter. I also really like Gengar too. He's up there, but I like Haunter better than Gengar actually. And then Dragonite's also behind me. He's like, maybe he's kind of cheating because he almost feels semi-legendary. But Haunter, Gengar, Dragonite, those would be up there. What about you?
I
The evolutions are nice too. Like I really like Jolteon.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I would honestly go. I've always liked. I'm gonna go with Ninetales. And then for my second one, I was thinking Gengar, but since you already stole Gengar from me, I'll go with Dragonair too. I actually do like Dragonair.
Yeah, I like Dragonite better.
In terms of for the cards, I like Dragonair better.
That's the thing. Like, are we talking game or are we talking like? There's certain Pokemon that I feel like I have a close relationship to because I played them in the games a lot and I like them a lot in the games. Versus the cards, there's ones that I have closer relationship. Like I really like the Jungle Jolteon. But yeah, those would be my short list of a few of the people. Top 3 Pokemon that need an alt art. If you want to start there.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go Blastoise number 1, Gyarados number 2, and who would be a good number 3? I can't even see what you're pointing to.
Quaxley.
Oh god. We'll go with Pikachu. I think a Pikachu alt art would be good.
They would all be good. We need a whole Pokédex of alt art, so whoever doesn't have one should get one. Number 1 being Quaxley, number 2 being Charmander. Gengar would be cool too, or Haunter, I guess. Dragonite.
Gengar alt. We need a good Gengar alt art. That's what we need.
Yeah, we did. That's the thing. I didn't open the set at all. I've seen the Gengar alt art, but that's the thing with Ultra Modern. Like lately, I haven't even been opening it because it just makes sense to sell it sealed.
Yeah, the Gengar alt art was a big disappointment.
Martin asks, I first subscribed to Catch 'em All because he broke a jungle box and opened all the heavies. Will we ever get to see a similar video? I'm a little crazy. I did that and I don't know how wise of a financial decision it was. I think the box was like 14 grand at the time. Not recommended. So if and when they get a lot cheaper, maybe I'll be doing it. Maybe I'll do a live where I'm breaking it for a profit to me, but having people buy from me so that I'm making some money, they're the ones losing the money. We'll see. That's a good business strategy. Ancient Mew asked, do you ever see them doing the fireworks hollow pattern again? They could do a similar one, but who knows?
I wish they would do something with the reverse hollows, because the reverse hollows they have right now just don't look very good. I would love another firework type hollow pattern.
See, I'm not crazy about it. I'm not crazy about the Legendary Collection fireworks. I'm not, like, I don't hate it. I don't love it. If it comes back, cool. If it doesn't, cool. I'm fine either way. But I will say, 18 minutes left. We're going to be ending right around 4. So get in your questions. I can't guarantee that we'll get to all of them. Once we get down to like the final 5 minutes, if there's a long ways to go, we'll just go rapid fire. But as of right now, like we're only a few minutes. Well, we're like 15 minutes behind, but there's not too many questions between us and the bottom of chat. So I just wanted to get that out there. Disclaimer, if you get your question in now, we'll probably get it answered. If you wait another 10 minutes, we might not get to it. But Dark Lava Lizard asks, what all Patreons do each of you subscribe to? Any outside of the ones you're a partner in? So I'm subscribed to Alpha Investments. I'm subscribed to SM Pratt. I'm subscribed to Pokenomics, which I'm a partner of, and I'm subscribed to Pichu Fan Pokemetrics. So I used to be a patron of Rusty's. I did that for like a year, I think. And I might do that again at some point. I feel like there's some amount of questions I want to ask him. I feel kind of bad. Like, I would say we're friends. I would say we have a decent relationship, but I know his time is valuable as I value my own time. I don't really want to just constantly be texting him or emailing him, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? What do you think about this? If and when I decide to ask him a few more questions, I'll feel obligated to like hop on his Patreon for a few months. But so yeah, that's one that I had been subscribed to, but I haven't been for a few months now.
And I only subscribe to SM Pratt and TCA Gaming. Those are the only two that I subscribe to.
I probably should. There's a couple more that I've thought about subscribing to, just more of like a support thing. I feel like I probably should still be subscribed to Rusty's, but I know he's in pretty good shape. A lot of us are in pretty good shape with what 2020 did for us. But
speaking of Rusty, he sent everyone over for a TCA raid.
Oh, no way. Nice. Shout out TCA Gaming. Go subscribe to his Patreon. Thanks, Rusty.
Yes, you appreciate it.
Let us know if you've got any questions in chat. We might get inundated with them now, but we'll have to see. Welcome everyone. Q&A. We're gonna go for another 15 minutes, so we're not gonna ride out the raid too long. But if you've got questions for the next 15 minutes, let us know in chat, and we'll try to get to them. So Reek says, what's the best way to increase your eBay selling limits in your experience? In tandem, what is the best way to increase your eBay buying limits? So I think this will be applicable to Nick as well. I've been on eBay so long, I predate the eBay buying and selling limits. Maybe there were some invisible limits that I wasn't aware of, but as far as I understand, I've been able to list and buy whatever I wanted to, whenever I wanted to. If I started having issues or something, maybe they would have banned me easier. But I know now when you start an account, you can only sell X amount per month. You can only have X amount listed. I didn't even know buying limits were a thing, really. But yeah, like I joined eBay in 2004, I believe it was. My account was created. Those just weren't things back then. I think, again, not having experienced it firsthand, but I think buying and selling frequently, consistently, up to your limits is the best way to increase them. Same thing as credit cards. Like I have credit cards that I've had for several years. I have a City Double Cash, which Rudy's talked about them before. I think they cap out your limit at like 50 grand. Like that's approximately where I am. They're not going to go above there. It's just their policy. The way that I increase it though, charge, pay my bill, charge, pay my bill, charge, pay my bill. Make them money. If you buy on eBay and sell on eBay, you're making them money. If you prove that you're a low issue buyer, sell, don't get negative feedback, buy, generally don't leave negative feedback. As you do those things more and more, as you just transact in their space, make them money, your limits are going to grow over time. How quickly, like, are there hacks to get it done quicker? I have no idea, but those would be my general advice.
Yeah, I would that was a solid answer. The only other thing that I would add to that is if you have an existing eBay account and you want to create a second eBay account, you can link your two limits together. So like I created a new eBay account for just like selling random stuff. And when I created that account, my limits were absurdly low. I was actually really surprised at how low the limits were. But I called eBay and had them link my new account to my old school Pokemon eBay account, and they were able to do that. Biggest thing with that, though, is if you if you do something wrong on your new account, it's also going to affect your main account. So you do have to be careful and just like ship everything out in your handling time and all that stuff. And then one more thing, if you don't have multiple eBay accounts and you're looking to increase your limit, they say you can do it online just by filling out an online form. I would definitely recommend calling them instead of filling out that online form. In the past, because my new old school Pokemon account, I didn't start that until 2016. So some selling limits were definitely a thing for me with that account. And whenever I'd call eBay to have them increase my limits, I would explain the situation to whatever rep I was talking to, and they would always increase my selling limits. Whereas on the online application or whatever it is, that would work every once in a while, but it didn't work at other points. So definitely recommend calling versus doing it online.
Mr. Walrus asks, what's your significant other's hobby while you do this? My wife's a teacher, and I constantly tell her she works too hard. I constantly tell her that she puts in way more time than most of her coworkers, if not all of my childhood teachers, which is great. I think she's a great teacher, but like a lot of what she does while I'm doing this, like I try to do this as much as possible in the confines of business hours, 8 to 4:30. But yeah, like after 9 p.m. when the kids go to bed. So I guess pre 9 p.m. kids consume all the time. There's not much time for hobbies while they're awake. So that's one thing. But two would be like afterwards, she's generally like working on her teaching stuff, or she's doing like she does scrapbooking, a lot of it digital, but she'll make different books, gifts for people. So she does scrapbooking and things like that. She is into different TV shows. Three kids, we both had a shared hobby of like board games. Occasionally she's doing that with different people, but short list of some of her hobbies. I'm probably leaving things off.
And my significant other right now is a puppy dog and a kitty cat. So they like to sleep a lot. That's their two biggest hobbies.
Without
Sleeping
any
and eating.
and licking themselves. So yeah, if you had just said that without the context, my significant other's hobbies are sleeping, licking, and sleeping, eating, and licking themselves. Context is important there. But yeah, animals are time consuming too. I guess to an extent, that's a hobby of both my wife and mine, because we have two cats and a dog, which also take up not nearly as much as kids, but they take up time too. But we love them. This question is so common. I get it all the time. The answer is always, it depends. Wilt Chamberlain asks, percentage-wise, what's the price you try and pay for collections? For example, on a $1,000 valued collection, what would you pay for it in general? Is this one card that's worth $1,000 that's highly liquid? If like Moonbreon today is what, 600? If Moonbreon today was 1,000, I would be willing to probably pay 75% on it. I would buy it for $750. I'd immediately list it on eBay for 1,000. I'd profit $100. I'd net $850 after fees. I'd pay $750. I'd make $100 same day. Boom, quick, easy. I would pay 75% on a single card like that. Is it 1,000 cards that are all worth $1 each that I have to sell on TCG Player or eBay or Troll and Toad? Sub $1 singles on Troll and Toad, the fee's 50%. So if I'm paying a 50% fee, I'm going to pay you like 25% because they're going to take forever to move too. So I might pay depending on the items, depending on the future prospects of the item's value, depending on the liquidity, I'll pay you anywhere between $100 and $800 probably. Because some items have a retail value of 1,000, but you only might be able to sell one per year or two per year or something. And so 1,000 $1 items or 300 $3.33 items that I'm going to sell a couple a year or something. Like those kind of items, you're going to pay a lot less too.
Yeah. I think you covered that one. Just depends on what you're buying. You can't buy WotC booster boxes for the same percentage that you can buy WotC bulk cards at. So it all depends on what you're buying.
Yep. Next questions from Doodles in the Membrane. How important do you guys think trainer-based cards are for the Pokemon TCG? Your opinion on them moving forward? Do you think it was just a recent bubble or something to stay? I'm assuming you're referencing like full art cards. As far as trainer cards for the TCG, they are extremely important. I don't think that's what you're asking, but decks are highly focused around trainer cards. So that's not the answer you were asking, or the answer you were looking for, I don't think. But full art cards, people like to bling out their decks, staying on the functionality of the TCG. Some people like to go max rarity. Some people like to have all that fancy, flashy stuff. So that's correlated to some extent. But yeah, I think some aspect of the whole waifu / full art trainer thing was likely bubbly. How much of it's gonna stay? No idea.
I think waifus are here to stay. It's always going to be a thing in Pokemon now. That's really all I would add to that one.
You want to take this one, PSA 10 or Black Label booster boxes or ETBs, with everything being graded nowadays?
I mean, you confused me reading the question in two parts there.
Yeah.
With everything being graded nowadays, how long before we see PSA 10 or Black Label booster boxes? I honestly don't. I would be very surprised if PSA, BGS, CGC, any of those companies started grading booster boxes. I think there's a huge risk behind grading booster boxes and authenticating that the packs inside and the cards inside are actually legitimate. So I can't see a world where some company comes along and starts grading these booster boxes and saying the packs and the cards inside are completely legitimate. I don't think that would ever happen. I do really hope it does happen. I would absolutely love it. But yeah, I can't quite see it happening.
One thing that I can't get over too is like cards rattle in the case to some extent, and Deep Pocket Monster, shout out to Pat Flynn, he did a video where he showed in extreme situations, cards can actually be damaged inside of the case when they rattle like that. You had to really get crazy with it, and he made like his Slab Shaker 9000 or whatever he called it. Boxes though, imagine boxes. No matter how tight the outer case is, the packs inside are loose as they are. You start shaking that thing around, banging it around, packs are going to come loose. Is the integrity of the box, the seal, going to deteriorate? There are so many additional considerations. Someday it might happen. I think it's kind of crazy if it does. If and when it happens, you know I'm sending cases of the most recent booster boxes to have the boxes individually authenticated and graded and selling them for a stupid premium. It'll be dumb, but it'll be lucrative probably. Very, very niche, I would imagine. But yeah, it is what it is there.
Modern boxes might be tough to grade with how terrible the seals have been.
Low pop. Yeah, it would be man, only 5% get 10s. Let's stonk out and pay 100 times the price. Like, okay, I'll sell it for that. Nicholas asked, do you guys foresee a lull in Pokemon in the coming years, or will it continue to grow? If a downturn continues, do you think we will ever go back to 2019 pricing, specifically first edition base? I think some cards are already there. Maybe only the PSA 8 and 9 non-holos, some of them. I don't think the holos are that low as they were in 2019, but some amount of cards did get back to 2019 pricing. More outside of base first, but maybe even some lower grade ones in base first. I absolutely think it's a possibility. I think on a long enough timeline, between now and the 50th anniversary, it's an inevitability that there's a lull sometime. How low is the lull? Is it a Platinum, Diamond, and Pearl era lull? Probably not that low, but in 1,000 years, Pokemon's going to be gone, I think. I don't think it will continue to exist. In 500 years, probably won't exist. In 100 years, it might. In 25 years, it probably will. Sometime over that time frame, though, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be lulls. And at some point, there's going to be like the death of the franchise, of the IP, of the. And maybe I'm completely wrong. And maybe 10,000 years from now, it's the biggest thing in the world still. But those to me are inevitabilities. I think a lot of cards, and I've said it before, I think a lot of cards hit all-time highs in 2020 Mania.
Yeah, I think it depends on. I do definitely think we will eventually see some type of lull in the Pokemon hobby, like you were saying, Dan. And I do think we could see certain cards reach 2019 pricing. We have seen that with some like the non-holo first edition base cards in lower grades. The more popular cards, like your first edition base holos, I don't think we'll ever see those get back to 2019 pricing. I think the demand for those cards is just too high to let them fall to 2019 pricing. But some of like the more common stuff, your non-holo cards, I can see that happening.
I know I sold some PSA 8 non-holo cards for like $25. I think there's some PSA 9s going for 30 to 40, but in 2019, those were probably still going for half that. Like they're probably still a fair bit above 2019 prices. I'm not positive, but
First you got to figure out what 2019 prices even were.
Yeah, like I don't even remember. A lot lower than today generally, but I think some cards, as I said, peaked all time in 2020. Base first, less likely. But maybe even some cards in base first could have peaked all time, in my opinion, in 2020, 2021. Boom. Dude Man asks, do you promote your listings on eBay? Do you find it's effective, worthwhile? If it's a card that there's 50 other sellers with the same thing and it's being raced to the bottom, yes. If it's a card that I have one of only a few listings and I'm the cheapest on eBay and it's higher price, no.
Yeah. I do it a little bit differently. I do, if it's something where I have like a near endless quantity of, then I will promote it. So I need to have, it needs to be something that I have a lot of quantity of and something that I also have a really low cost basis in. So the pins is a good example. All of those listings are promoted. The coins that I have, all of those listings are promoted. Those Team Rocket storage boxes, that listing's promoted because all of those items I have a lot of quantity of, and my cost basis is next to nothing on that stuff. So that's kind of what I promote from my own listings.
I just wrote in chat that we're gonna cut questions there. We got this one and then we got one more. We just hit 4 o'clock, so if you have any questions, feel free to leave them when the video finalizes in the comments, and we'll take them in 2 weeks when we have Josh the Green Shiz on. But yeah, we're gonna wrap. If you want to take this one, Nick, then we have one more from Ancient Mew.
What's the most fulfilling thing you've contributed to the hobby to date? That's a good question. I've never really thought about that one.
What legacy will you leave behind? I like it.
I would say I should be doing more with it. But I would say talking about selling singles on eBay. That's probably I did 2 videos on that on YouTube. They're both the 2 most popular videos on my YouTube channel. And that's kind of the topic that I get people messaging me about the most frequently. Is they'll watch those videos and then reach out to me through Instagram or email and ask follow-up questions about that process. So I would say that you can talking about how you can actually make money selling bulkier type cards on eBay, TCG Player, and stuff like that.
D1T Landon beat me to my answer. Dan, say your kids. So I contributed 2 more trainers to the space. I contributed 2 more human beings, 2 more hopeful collectors. I contributed to the longevity of the IP by birthing 2 two new trainers to the world. But honestly, like, I have a hope that some combination of, like, I mentioned it back when I created my YouTube channel. Some amount of it is selfish. There is a financial incentive if and when I were able to grow. I mean, I make some small amount of money now. If you figure out on an hourly basis, this is one of the least profitable components of my business right now. But if it were to scale, it could be one of the higher profiting ones on a per hour basis. So there's a selfish aspect to me creating the YouTube, cataloging, documenting my own journey. But part of it too is, like, I hope that there's a value aspect to it as well. I have gained so much value following the journey of guys like that I consider friends today. Zach, Gem at Pokemon on YouTube. And this is such a common story for so many people. Following Scott's videos, following Jake's videos, Nick's videos, when he used to make them, Rusty's videos. I've gained so much value, both entertainment and just knowledge. And I hope that lasting into the future, I mean, everything that I've done thus far, I hope that it's providing value, experience, knowledge, information to people consuming my content. So I guess that's one of them that's more a more appropriate answer than just making kids who might like Pokemon someday. Other than that, like, on in the same vein as what I just said too, like, I hope I'm seen, like, when I at the end of my life, hopefully 50 plus years from now, I hope I'm seen as a good person, as a good father, as a good friend, as a good husband, all those good things. I hope I'm seen as a positive to the hobby, as a good collector, as a good business, as a good social media influencer, whatever you want to call it. Like, I hope people just see me as a positive influence on the hobby. So on, like, getting back to the question, I hope I'm just contributing positivity to the hobby. That's my intent. That's my goal. So that's when he used to make them. That's my answer for that. And we do have one last question to wrap from Ancient Mew. To be a sealed collector, are people worried that everything will just be questioned authentic or not in the future after the Logan Paul's experience? To some extent, yes. There's always going to be some amount of concern. Largely, I think the concern is overblown. Many people have talked about this. James has ceased taking sealed product on consignment. I've not ever and will never take sealed product on consignment. I believe Scott Pratt no longer takes sealed product on consignment. Because even when there's no risk or very low risk of reseals or authenticity concerns, people are really a pain with stuff like that. Like, I've received direct from Pokemon, my wholesale distribution, 100% authentic, genuine, Vivid Voltage booster boxes that had the ugliest looking wrap on them ever. I could see why, to some extent, people would think they're resealed, but yeah, it's like an epidemic. People thinking everything's resealed all the time. So some amount of concern is warranted, but it's way overblown in general. But 25 years from now, when some of these WotC boxes, what are they going to be? 6 figures? I mean, one already is base first. So some amount of it's appropriate. A lot of it's overblown. How much is right? And it's just crazy. That's why I'm not, like, a big sealed collector or speculator, honestly.
Yeah, I would pretty much agree with you. I can some of the some of people's nerves about sealed product is definitely warranted with the high pricing, but a lot of it is way overblown, especially when it comes to modern Evolutions, Sword and Shield era. People, well, I guess I could exclude Evolution since
The
Walmart over there
$600
is,
box.
yeah. But people are, for the most part, people are not resealing modern booster boxes whatsoever. People are just way too nervous about that, and frankly, just don't know much about Pokemon. They're thinking Lost Origin boxes that you buy are resealed.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we're in relative agreement on that one. With that though, that's everything. We actually didn't have any new questions come in after I cut it off, which is good. As always, leave questions once this video goes up. We got the Green Shiz coming on in 2 weeks. It will not be live. We will be recording it 13 days from now and posting it 14 days from now. So it'll be posted probably 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Thursday. But yeah, looking forward to chatting with Josh. So leave some questions for him. Like, sub, hit all the buttons, click all the links, do all the good stuff. Anything else to add
It's
in
just
closing, Nick?
every button. No. Thank you guys for hanging out in the chat. Do appreciate it. People from Rusty's Raid, if you're still in here, thanks for hopping over. Do appreciate that. Hopefully you enjoyed us rambling on. I know we didn't open anything, but hopefully you enjoyed it. But yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. Do appreciate it, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
Catch you all later.